Compare cheap car insurance quotes that really do cut the mustard at mustard.co.uk. Details online, authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority.
Clyde One's Super Scoreboard podcast with Taggart's Jaguar, part of the Lookers family. Be ready for any journey. Book now for service and repairs.
Teams coming out the tunnel. Let's go back to Naples and speak to Gabriel.
Yes, Gordon, James Tavernier is leading out the Rangers team here in the south of Italy. In all orange, the visitors against Napoli, and what an arena this is. The Stadio Diego Armando Maradona. Thousands of fans been here 3 hours before kickoff. Ultras at both ends of the stadium have been bouncing before the match. The stadium announcer has just been on, roaring out the home players' names live as life has played. Echoes of Maradona himself ringing around this amphitheatre. The fans inside cannot wait for this one. We're just about to hear the Champions League music as well. Here it comes as the Champions League ball is waved in the centre circle. Well, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst is under pressure. His team have been booed off in the last two matches. He said yesterday that they can't just come and defend. They've got to play to attack. They've got to play without fear. And more than anything, they've got to show their character. He's made 4 changes from the weekend's 1-1 draw with Livingston at Ibrox. Barisic, Davis, Arfield and Cholak have all dropped out. The team is as follows. Alan McGregor in goal, a back four of James Tavernier, Leon King, Ben Davies and Ridvan Yilmaz, John Lundstrom, James Sands and Malik Tillman in midfield, with Scott Wright, Ryan Kent on the wings, supporting Alfredo Morelos through the middle. On the bench, you've got McCrory, McLaughlin, Cholak, Matondo, Davis, Sakala, Barisic, Arfield, Lowry, Devine and Allen. Well, there may not be many fans here in the south of Italy, but they will all be watching somewhere, whether it's at home or in a pub. The fans want to see a team with structure. They want to show pride. They want to be competitive and give. The fans want something from this performance. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst is under huge pressure, of course. Another catastrophe here could prove fatal, but the Dutchman knows a good result is the best way to relieve the pressure on him. And don't forget that a result here, whether it's a draw, even a win, compiled with an Ajax loss, would set up the final game next Tuesday perfectly. A win could see them into the UEFA Europa League after Christmas. Now, they have been poor in Europe in this competition all season, but don't forget what this team did earlier in spring, what this team are capable of. They can deliver results, they can surprise team and shock fans. They'll be hoping they can do that tonight. Perhaps they've been given an opportunity by the Napoli boss, Luciano Spalletti. He makes 6 changes to his team from their 1-0 win over Roma on Sunday night. The most important thing is the front 3 that won't be playing. That's Chucky Lozano, Victor Osimhen and Kvicha Kvaratskhelia, all on the bench. And Rangers fans will hope that they stay on the bench for as long as possible. But this is still an impressive team. If they win this, it'll be 12 wins in a row for the Neapolitans. They're unbeaten all season, top of Serie A, top of this Champions League group. They've got their eyes on a Scudetto for the first time since Maradona was playing here back in 1990. So another huge night coming up for Rangers in the Champions League, a defining night if they want to be playing at European football after Christmas, and perhaps a pivotal night for Van Bronckhorst as well. The referee here is Halil Ümitmele from Turkey. Captain James Tavernier has shaken hands with his opposite number, and Ryan Kent is standing over the ball. It is 8 o'clock and kickoff is up next.
Super Scoreboard European football coverage with MoyerandSweeney.com. The top team for your defence.
Oh, I'll tell you what, that sounded magnificent. We've got a good PA system over there in that stadium, I'll tell you that, because the Champions League music sounded brilliant. What an occasion, what a place to play your football and witness your football. Now just a small matter of going and trying to stop one of the informed teams in Europe, Marvin.
Yeah, listen, absolutely magnificent. You know, just being here in the studio and hearing that, you know, we're absolutely excited for the game now, but imagine the players actually being out there. But like you said, it's a big performance needed from them today, as Lundstrom gets the first tackle in, but it's a massive occasion for Rangers. Yes, we know Napoli are trying to go, 12 games in a row winning run, but it's a huge occasion for Rangers Football Club today, and these players need to put it all out there.
Can you, even amongst a difficult run, Simon, you would have to imagine Rangers' confidence is low. Do you think you can somehow just channel some of those nights where you caused huge upsets. And I'm not saying that the teams they beat last year are as good as this Napoli team, but still, they just that even that belief that you can maybe go and shock some people.
Well, they have to think that way. They have to go out here and work hard. It's a fantastic arena. We just watched it there at the start. It's a place that you'll remember playing, but you want to remember being there for the right reasons. But against a really good Napoli team, the work rate will need to be at 100%. They'll need to graft for the full 90 minutes here, stay concentrated. We've got a decent wee bit of possession here at the start.
Yeah.
But yes, listen, it's one of the games that could change it for you. It could get you out that rut.
I'll tell you what, Rangers very much starting on the front foot. They tried to spin Ryan Kent in behind and it was hacked clear. They've then just tried to spin Scott Wright in behind, but he was offside. Marvin, based on what you've seen in the opening minutes, what is the shape? Is it back three or
it
is
looks
it
like a back four, yeah, and Sands is playing in the midfield area. What I liked at the start of that move though, Gordon, we saw the ball go back to McGregor a lot in the Champions League, and normally it's a direct ball forward. This time Sands drops in, gets it deep, and then he starts it off. So that's going to be so important today, you know. They can't afford to go back to McGregor too often, but if they do go back to him, it must be a short pass that they play to keep possession.
So not a lot happening in terms of towards either box in the opening 2 minutes. I think Napoli have just responded with an offside decision of their own as they looked to do the same and get in behind. Pitch just looks massive.
Sands and have started as a
2 in
there.
Yeah, it does kind of look that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I'm not sure if Tillman's is in the 10 or he's playing to the left of two number 8s, but no, he's slightly higher now. It does look like Lundstrom, Sands and Tillman in the number 10 position. So possession's going to be important for them, isn't it? Getting it into Tillman's feet. Same with Morelos, get it into his feet, because, you know, smashing the ball in behind isn't kind of his game. But big night needed from Kent as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's 2.5 minutes in. Let's not get carried away. But Rangers don't. It's not like it's been that. It's not a rampant start. It doesn't seem to be Napoli's style. It's not like they're all over Rangers trying to get in their faces. Rangers are allowed to take it at the back. They're allowed to knock it across. They're allowed to work it into midfield. And Napoli have various dangers, and they may well show themselves in other ways, but that's how
you build confidence though, Gordon. You know, getting that first touch, getting that first pass, the first turnover, and you know, as again we tried to fire it into the centre forward nice and early there, Rangers. You can see their game plan, yes, it's 2 or 3 yards away from him, but you know, listen, they're trying to get close to them, they're trying to win the ball. Yeah,
it was a good interception from Lundstrom, won it, tried to play a quick pass to Morelos couldn't bring it under control, so positive enough from Rangers in just the opening minutes. But here come Napoli for the first time. It's stood up and it's in the box. A bit of defending to do, and Tavernier does stand up well, gets the block. Another free kick. It's very stop-start beginning.
Yeah, that was dangerous down the right hand side there. Napoli showing their first bit of intent, and I think he's gave for a handball.
Wow. That doesn't bode well going forward, does it? Well, if a defender does that, is that a penalty?
Look, we've had a lot of arguing about the handball rule in the last few days, in case you hadn't noticed. My goodness. What are you meant to do about that?
Exactly, jump for the header. Oh man.
Anyway, Rangers won't care because it allows them to take the pressure, and Tavernier had made the block anyway. A lot of spotlight on him before the game with the calls that were coming in, and I've seen it all weekend. In fact, before that, about Rangers fans, they don't seem to believe that he's fit, Marvin. But he started brightly there. He went on a run down the right hand side.
Yeah, but he's moving well, most definitely. He's taken the ball a couple of times as well and tried to play forward passes. Listen, no matter if you can be out there as a football player, you're going to be out there, whether you're 100% fit or anything else. And James Tavernier is out there, so that means to me that he's fit and ready to play. So there's no excuses today. For
some people, this is just about Rangers handling this, whether that means causing a shock and getting a result, or even just coming out with a respectable performance. But for the actual ramifications of the group, of course, we need to keep an eye on Ajax against Liverpool, which we will do as well. So I'll bring you anything that happens there in the Johan Cruyff Arena, where it is goalless after 5 minutes. Because you don't want that sickener, do you? You don't want to go and get something here and actually it's the other result that does you. But then, I don't know, maybe could Rangers fans, they'd make their peace with that, wouldn't they?
Oh, of course they would. You know, control the controllables. There's no point worrying about what's going on in the Ajax-Liverpool game, because they need to take care of their part here. So yeah, listen, deal with today's game and you go forward from there. Yeah,
and Ndombele with the cross, and I think it was
Simone with the header. Yeah,
he rubs his head, and understandably so, because Ndombele has blasted that right at his forehead.
I'm pulling out of that header, by the way.
Yeah, should have got that in target.
Yeah, I've not got enough brain cells to be losing with that sort of cross.
How's the concussion, by the way, after clashing heads with your own coach after the manager crossed the ball in a training match?
Oh, I'm glad you've asked. Yeah, I'm much better, Gordon.
I was worried about you.
You get hit in the head with a bowling ball, which Neil Hastings has for a head. But yeah, no, listen, I'm a lot better. I've got the scar to prove that, it's a bit of a war wound, but, I made a harder stuff than that, mate.
Yeah, and who came off worse, would you say?
Definitely me. His head's massive.
Did he not require stitches the way you did?
No, a bit of tissue and he was fine.
Seriously?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know what his head's made of.
Nothing worse.
Lucky he's my mate.
Anyway, enough about Marvin's injuries for now. It's 6 minutes gone. It's been a comfortable enough start for Rangers. I think they would have taken this. Napoli have also shown, though, Simon, you can just see a couple of times they've got in behind Yilmaz down the right hand side in particular.
They worked it down the right a couple of times, and Donnelly getting in. Getting played around the corner to him, but Rangers on a whole so far have dealt with it. The shape looks good, more like a kind of a 4-2-3-1, but I think this will be the pattern of the game. Possession for Napoli in this area of the pitch, and Rangers will, much like Shakhtar last night, stay concentrated and look for anything on the break.
It's an entirely different tactical battle, I get that, Marvin, but I'm just curious because it's the first time we've spoken to you since the weekend. We get a lot of Rangers fans on criticising how many times they crossed it at the weekend. I'm pretty sure that was by design. You wanted them to cross it, you made them cross it, and did they play into your hands in that regard?
They did, but the
you
longer
still
they
have to defend it.
Yeah, exactly. The longer the game goes on, the more urgency they have about them trying to score. And if we have to offer them something, it was the wide areas. Listen, you have to give something up when you come to playing against Rangers and Celtic. And we were happy, as you said, for the ball to go wide and we had to defend from there. So, it wasn't a shock to the defenders what was going to happen, the ball coming in. So they were well prepared and well rehearsed in trying to deal with it. And they did just that. But, if you go out play against Rangers and try and just go after them, you're going to find yourself in massive trouble. Is
that something you then sort of work on all week? Does it become very specific from as soon as you come back in on Monday, you then know it's Rangers next? So that gets put into action all week. Yeah,
you go from game to game, and listen, defensively you want to keep clean sheets, you want to lock onto strikers, you want to deal with balls coming in the box. So that's something that the defenders are well drilled in, and that happens week in week out. It's just slight tweaks you make, and getting used to the ball coming in and getting cross from different areas. And as I said, we were ready for that, and they didn't really have many free chances within our box, which was fantastic.
You must be pleased though with the way you take your chance when it comes along, because you have to do that, obviously.
Yeah, exactly that. And I know Joel had been working with the gaffer and Neely kind of on his finishing. So a fantastic take from him, brilliant first touch, spins and puts it in the bottom corner, and then that gives you something to hang on to. And that's what you hope for in games. So as a kind of on the defensive side, you go into it and say, listen, the 0-0 is absolutely ideal, but you get that 1-0 lead and it does give you something to hang on to and makes them a bit more desperate to score, obviously.
First booking of the evening goes to Ben Davies. Simon, I'm not sure he can complain. He went lunging in.
Yeah.
Maybe when he didn't have to, the Napoli player was sharp and just nipped around him.
Raspadori got to the ball just before him, and he's caught him with a late challenge, which after 8.5 minutes, a yellow card, he's going to have to be careful for the rest of the game.
Yeah, it's not ideal, is it, Marvin?
It's not.
No, not at all, especially when you're playing, at this level. But I'm seeing the Napoli fullbacks are pushing really high and wide because Rangers aren't really pressuring the ball when Napoli keeping it along the back line. So they're almost leaving two centre-halves back with a holding midfielder, and it's causing massive overloads in the wide area. So something that Rangers have to be careful of with the game going forward.
It does sort of look after 10 minutes that there will be a space there, though. I mean, if Rangers can find it, that's obviously the biggest challenge. But a couple of times, even Ryan Kent came in, field one, dropped the shoulder, the step over as he sometimes does, and maybe not often enough for Rangers fans, burst forward. It does look like if they can pick their moments wisely, they might get some attacking success.
Oh, most definitely. There will be space within that, but I think what we'll see Napoli as the game goes on is they'll start pressing Rangers a lot higher, so they won't be able to play that ball into Ryan Kent's feet. It's going to be more aerially, and that's a lot more difficult, obviously, to then control. So, yeah, he has had a couple of glimpses in the first 10 minutes.
Bravery as well in that situation. I think Kent, for once, did actually. He thought positive about it. He tried to go by a couple. It didn't work out.
Yeah,
I'd much rather see him doing that than picking a ball up in a good area and playing it back the way.
I'll tell you what, brilliant defensive work from him as well there, because he's gone all the way back and properly picked the pocket. Initially, it does eventually go for a Napoli throw as they put one into the box. Danger here, and Napoli are in front.
Is he not offside?
Napoli 1, Rangers 0, waiting for a flag, waiting for a review, as it will be. But the celebrations go on for now, and after a solid enough start from Rangers, that is clinical from one of Europe's informed teams. It was a ball sort of into the from the channel, if you like. It just curved round behind Ben Davies, touch and angled finish beyond Alan McGregor. It's absolutely brilliant.
Ooh.
Tight.
Yeah, he looks like he could be off.
Think he might be off?
I think he might be.
Come on, you've got a reputation here. You're good at spotting these.
Yeah, I think he could be off. See defensively there, one centre forward between two centre halves is not acceptable. And we spoke about us playing them and locking on in wide areas. Rangers have done the total opposite there.
Yeah,
and they've been punished.
This might yet not stand, because it's certainly going to be close, and they'll draw the lines. It won't be Clydesdale House, of course. I don't know where it is that they do the VAR when it's in Naples, but Giovanni Van Bronckhorst sort of rolls his eyes and turns away.
I think he's disappointed with what Marv's talking about. The guy's just...
Yeah, there are goal stands. Yeah,
that's not acceptable
The
defending.
guy's picked up a good position between the two centre-backs, but...
He's got to be picked up, Simon.
He has.
The ball's come in your box. And we're speaking about the overloads in wide areas. Kent does well for 30 seconds before that. Then it comes to the
so
right
you're
back.
looking at the young lad King, who can see it.
He can see it, definitely. And Davis has to be in a position where if King's too far away from him, he has to lock onto the centre forward.
Yeah.
You can't be free between both of you, because you're going to get punished at this level, aren't you?
And just to carry on a theme from the weekend, but they didn't draw the lines, they didn't show the lines on TV. How do we know? How can we trust that it's offside? You just have to, I'm afraid. The broadcaster maybe didn't get the chance to show them or whatever. The lines would have been drawn, I'm sure, by VAR. That goal stands. So Napoli 1, Rangers 0. And all of a sudden it starts to look like the long night that many feared it would, Simon. You can only take these games in sort of manageable 10, 15, 20 minute chunks, and
of course
Rangers would have been fine after 10 minutes, but flips like that.
Yeah, no real threat, but the quality of Napoli, it's a fantastic ball, and if you look at it from here they come
this
again.
is similar. It's a similar area, but a bit more numbers back for Rangers, and Yilmaz does really well, just sticks out a toe.
If you look at it from the attacking wise, it's a fantastic pick out. It's a great touch and finish, but from Rangers' point of view, as Marv's touched on there, they have to pick the lad up in the middle.
Yeah, does it become almost a numbers game at that point, Marvin? If there is only one centre forward there and you have two central defenders plus a fullback on the other side that can see the picture as well, you just got to get closer than that, don't you?
100%. And even at our team, I don't keep going back to Livingston, but when the ball's wide, as a centre half, if you're not picking up a centre forward, then there's trouble. Then there's definite trouble. The first thing you need to do when that ball is wide is find a centre forward, because if you don't, that will happen. Listen, if you're marking him tight and it goes into space, you can clear that. Space doesn't score goals. And what Rangers don't do there, they allow the centre forward to be in between both of them. Yes, it's a fantastic ball in, but there's no pressure on the ball. A fantastic ball in, and all of a sudden he's putting the ball in the back of the net.
So you will tell you think that's more on Leon King, because the camera sort of zooms in on Ben Davies, and because the ball is closer to Ben Davies, is it easy to fall into the trap of thinking it's more to do with him, but really is it Leon King can see the picture, as you said?
Yeah, it's King's facing the whole thing. He can see the centre forward, he can see the ball. He has to get tight to the centre forward. Yeah. And don't worry about the space between him and Tavernier. That's for Tavernier to deal with. They all have to shuffle across.
By the time King tries to block it, the lad's already taken the touch and put it in the net.
Yeah.
He's got to be closer to him.
Oh, taking a chance, Rangers giving it back to Alan McGregor in a fairly tight spot, but he does well. I'm sure he let the defender know that he didn't appreciate the heart and mouth moment. He's not usually shy.
The wide areas are causing them massive problems now, Gordon. Not just from the goal, but we spoke about it earlier. There's runners off the back, and that's the right back putting that in.
Yeah.
And that's Davis trying to attack him, and you've got Kent worried about Ndombele higher up the pitch. They need to get to grips with those wide areas, otherwise it's going to be an extremely long night for Rangers.
Yilmaz is in at that left back berth. We've not seen a lot of him. Big night for him. He's got some defending to do there, and he does force Napoli back, but we always talk about what a goal can do, and it does look to have maybe just spooked Rangers a bit and had the opposite effect on the home side.
It takes the wind out your sails. You start the game and there's no real threat. It's a dangerous ball in again.
Yeah,
look at that in between the two centre halves again.
Napoli 2, Rangers 0. It's Simeone, number 18, sticks the ball beyond Alan McGregor. And Rangers fans, it's all your worst fears look like they're coming to fruition already. 15 minutes gone, 2-0 down. This could be the longest of nights if this doesn't turn around very, very quickly, Simon Donnelly.
It's a great delivery again, but it's the opposite from the
It's the exact
outside.
same,
He
though.
gets in between
It's the
two
exact
defenders.
same. So this time then,
Yeah.
is that Ben Davies' fault this time from the other side? 'Cause
Either of them can take the blame for this, Gordon. Either of them. But yeah, Davies is on the other side. They have to lock onto him. You're doing absolutely nothing. A good ball there, which it is, it's a fantastic ball. You're unable to even get any sort of contact on him. I'm not saying they have to win the header, but you get a bit of body contact and you
Yeah.
put the centre forward
affect the header.
Exactly. It's a free header, 8 yards out.
Yeah, it seems like a long time ago that we were pleased that Napoli had made all those changes.
I wasn't convinced when you were talking about him,
No.
to be honest.
Giovanni Simeone, it's his 4th goal in 4 games in the Champions League. He's not bad at all. He's the son of
Yep.
Diego.
There you
isn't
go.
he?
Yep. He is.
Atletico manager. So footballing family. And wow, what a tough night this is going to be. To be fair, I think that the tattoo looks safe, if that's any consolation.
Yeah.
Proper RFC said he was going to get a tattoo of Gordon DL if Rangers won tonight. So I think we'll be.
Here you go. Corner kick.
I think we'll be all right.
They look shell shocked, don't they? The players look shell shocked at this
no
moment in
wonder.
time.
No wonder. I was just saying there before the second goal, 10 minutes in, looked reasonably comfortable, but 5 minutes later, 2-0 down.
2 avoidable goals though,
Yeah.
just by marking.
Yeah. But again, I'm thinking that am I being disrespectful to our league where 2 great deliveries? The guys found a wee bit of space. Are they used to that in our division? I don't know.
Yeah, but as a centre half, no matter what the level you're playing at, you have to find a centre
You
forward.
have to
Centre
affect
forward
the
score
centre
goals,
forward, of
space
course.
don't.
Yeah, there we are. Rangers had the set piece. It was the outswinger, but he couldn't really make much of it. And
That's a ball, that is.
now they've got some work to do at the other end. That's a good
Great
sliding
tackle.
tackle from, was it Ben Davies?
Great
it was,
tackle.
Was it? And he had to get it right because he sort of dived in even though he's on a booking, so over at the far side. And yeah, Rangers need to do, I don't know, something drastic, Marvin.
Yeah, they need to get hold of the ball for the next few minutes and try and take this thing out of the game. But out of possession, one thing they have to do is mark. If you're not going to mark centre forwards at this level, you're going to be in for a long, long night. And I think that'll be the annoying thing for Joe. This has nothing to do with tactics.
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with
You've seen his expression at the first goal.
Yeah, exactly.
There's one player in there,
and he gets his head on it, freely gets his head on it as
Yeah.
well. Listen, if he rises above you and heads
that
it in,
one, but the
accepts
first
it.
one, he takes a touch.
Yeah.
He kills it. It's a great first touch.
Yeah,
Is this where mentality is going to have to kick in as well? Because Liverpool are better than Rangers, shock. Napoli are better than Rangers, but the sort of main criticism of the Liverpool game was the collapse and the way that it fell apart in a short space of
They
time.
capitulated.
Problem is here, there's a lot longer than that to go.
There is, and that's what we said at the beginning. You were looking for a Rangers team to try and turn their form, get a little bit of pride, and with less than 20 minutes on the clock, they're 2-0 down, and it's not looking good at all just now. You need the players to step up.
no, definitely. And you're talking about teams being better than Rangers. Rangers are better than Livingston, but we still defended our box. That's part
Alright,
and parcel
Marvin,
of
for
it. No, but
goodness
I'm
sake.
saying if you don't defend your box,
It's only
then
the
what chance have you got?
53rd mention of it.
But what chance do you
I'm
have?
joking.
You've got no chance if you don't defend your box. And it doesn't matter if Napoli do the same thing and they don't defend their box. They're going to concede goals. But look when the ball's wide. Look, one of the centre halves is in the vicinity of Morales as a centre forward for Rangers.
The famous RFC's back on Twitter. He says he doesn't know whether to be happy or raging because he doesn't need to get his Gordon DL tattoo. Well, but his team are on the receiving end of a really tough night. So, yeah, swings and roundabouts and all that. First real sustained attack this from Rangers. Any sort of even lucky deflected bit of positive play here would be very welcome, I'm sure, for Giovanni van Bronckhorst.
But numbers in the box though, that's better. They need to get the obviously delivery in there, but they need to get Tillman on the ball. We spoke about this before the game, didn't we?
Don't tell me they need to get back in before Napoli bring on the big hitters.
I imagine
that's a
that
worrying position
last 30 minutes.
to be in. It's now, by the way, not as important, but Ajax and Liverpool still 0-0, just in case you're interested and you're keeping an eye on things. But yeah, I think the knock-on effects of that one are looking a bit further away from relevance, Simon.
Yeah, it's dare I say damage limitations after 20 minutes here. They just need to keep the ball and try and stop the flow.
They are getting a few passes in now. This will do wonders for them. Well, improve their confidence a million lower.
And is this again where you need to be really, really brave and it's easier said than done? Because I looked at Yilmaz there. He actually did quite well. Burst into the middle of the park, fired it into Sands, but he wanted it back and he wanted to go forward. Sands turned and gave it back to the defence, and Yilmaz sort of threw his hands up in
in the back of the mind of Sanzo, he's thinking, if I try and play this ball forward and it gets intercepted, we're already 2-0 down after 20 minutes. You know, counter-attack, and all of a sudden it's 3-0. They'd rather just keep possession. I get what Yilmaz is trying to do, and it's the right thing in terms of going forward, but Sanzo's thinking, hang on, let's just take this thing out of this and attempt to get back into it, because the last thing they want to do is go 3-0 down after 20-25 minutes, and then you're in massive trouble.
I mean, Callum Robertson's already tweeting and saying it's another 6+ for Napoli tonight. There's a long way to go for that to happen, but the worrying signs are certainly there, aren't they? Because they clearly, you don't even need that many chances. I think they've created two and scored two. Was there maybe one before that got blocked?
Yeah, the one in Ndombele put in wasn't as good a quality as the two.
That was the one he nearly took Simeone's head off with the cross.
It wasn't as quite a good a cross. The other two were fantastic crosses, but
2 shots on target, 2 goals. You're
right.
right.
As I keep saying, if you don't defend, here they come again down the right hand side,
and it's going to be another similar opportunity. They cut in this time. Yilmaz, it's a bit easy, just sort of dangles a leg, and Ndombele edge of the box rattles the crossbar.
Oh, goodness.
Big let off for Rangers. The crossbar is still shaking. Alan McGregor saw it on the way back out, I think. And Napoli come again. They're not bad, Marvin. That would be an understatement.
Yilmaz has got absolutely no protection out that side, did he?
Can he do more though?
Potentially. I think he's gone from the winger to the fullback. He's got a 2v1. He shouldn't be diving in. He shouldn't be letting the player inside. Have to keep them going down the line. Again, lets him inside.
Oh, this is all a bit easy. Yilmaz does recover this time. Took a bit of a risk on the edge of the box. It's not cleared yet. Tavernier had to get that right, but it comes back out and volleyed. Rangers will be... If there were any Rangers fans in the stadium, you'd be finding it's really tough to watch.
Yeah, it's all Napoli, and out with another block there in the crossbar, we could be looking at 3 and 4 already.
But Yilmaz can't keep letting his man inside. I just protected him because he had a 2v1, but that defending there, he has to keep the player going down the line.
And again, though, we spoke about this before the game. If you do need some sort of help, does Tillman do anywhere near enough when he comes over to try and assist?
Listen, he's trying to sit on the holding midfielder and stop the play being built through him, but the problem is that they rotate out of that space and somebody else comes in. And he's following his man, and Ndombele will come in and get on the ball. So he's not doing much. They need to probably be a bit braver in the centre of the pitch. But yeah, listen, Tillman's game isn't attacking them players, is it? We knew that before the game.
Why is he playing? Is that a fair question?
Yeah,
Rangers
it is a very fair question, because unless Gio expects us to dominate the ball, I don't really have an answer to that for you.
Especially in this game.
Yeah.
Where the ball's getting dominated by Napoli, and we've spoke about how the game's possibly bypassed Tillman in the Champions League away from home. You put another defensive midfielder in there. Here they come again.
Yeah, it's a nice little delicate ball. Tavernier's had to vacate the right back berth to come across and cover centrally. Rangers have got numbers back this time.
They're just cutting through them.
Aye.
Yeah,
keep the ball for fun.
This is the thing about it, in a way it does link into some of the discussions we've had about Celtic. It's not all about being open. It's not the only way that you can get, Rangers are not open here in the sense that they're attacking, but they're still getting cut open, and they can't get the ball.
Essentially get the ball. That's the problem.
It's fine saying that you're going to have numbers back, but what you do when you get them there, Marvin. It's not like Rangers are going up the pitch and being brave, and then Napoli are picking them off on the counter-attack.
But there's a massive difference being behind the ball and being behind the ball and affecting the play.
Yeah.
And at this moment in time, they are behind the ball. They do have bodies there, but they're just playing straight through the middle of them. In the last probably 5 or 6 minutes, not seen a Rangers player in that central area get close to absolutely anybody. So yes, they're behind the ball, but they're being reactive rather than proactive. By the way,
Gordon, you love cliches. Goals change games. See if this is still 2-0, they had defended that, still 0-0 and they had defended that, there's a wee bit more life in the legs.
Yeah.
2-0 down now, it's disheartening.
Well, your full decision making probably changes, doesn't it? Because we said it about
here they come,
and here is Tillman, and there we go. He's played a nice pass into Morelos, who's into the box. Yeah. Look, maybe it's a loaded question and being a bit quick to judge, but does last season's Morelos, does sharp Morelos do better there?
Yeah, I think he gets at least a corner. I think his first touches are a little bit closer to him. But also, to be fair to him, he's been starved of service today. How many times has he touched the ball?
And the defenders there, you're talking about being physical.
Yeah.
I think the defender deals with that really well.
Here come Napoli again into the box. Numerous Rangers jerseys back, but again, as Marvin says, can you Can you affect it? Can you get close to people? Can you put yourself in the right areas? Because it's another cross, but luckily for Rangers, this one's a really poor delivery. The first couple were excellent, and Ryan Kent loses the ball just near the edge of his own box. It's whipped in again. Rangers players will be delighted that the Napoli players have forgotten how to cross in the last couple of minutes, but they get a third bite at it. Tavernier watches it.
Yilmaz having a tough 25
That
minutes.
is a huge let off.
See there as well,
Heads
Kent's
past.
trying difficult stuff in the wrong area, gets caught in the ball, but I don't really see a reaction from him.
No,
after
it doesn't get up and try and burst
There's
after
no
the ball.
reaction. He's made the mistake, he's got caught in the ball.
Yeah.
How lucky is James Tavernier that header goes off target? Does he even consider that there's a player coming in behind him?
No, but at least his positioning is good, so the player has to go up above him. So listen, it's not great, but he manages to put him off because there is some sort of contact between the two of them. They didn't have that for the 2 goals.
26 gone, Napoli 2, Rangers 0. It is the the tough start to the game that many of you Rangers fans feared, but actually we got some optimism creeping in just before kick-off. We got a couple, and in fact a lot of the calls tonight, no reason why they can't go for it and try and cause an upset. Well, it looks a million miles off at the moment, you have to say.
If you're going to go for it, like you said, Gordon, then go after them. Look at this here now.
Yeah.
Napoli are playing at will. Nobody anywhere near the ball.
Yeah.
And then that becomes, as Simon said, if you can get the key moments right, fine. But you can't keep doing that if you're 2-0 down.
No, you can't. There has to be a change of game plan, but it's difficult at this moment in time to see what the game plan was. I know they're 2-0 down, but I'm not sure whether they're trying to press or counter.
It comes with being 2-0 down as well. It ripples through the team. There's an effect from the 2 goals, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, as I say, that you're.
This one's spun in behind. The Rangers fans are just begging for that offside flag. It does not come, but luckily the toe of Ben Davies and some neat footwork then from James Tavernier brings them clear, and that's what they need
Well
from
done.
Morelos.
Yep.
Puts his body in, turns, draws the
Brilliant.
free kick.
Yep.
How many times have we seen that?
That's what they need from him for tonight, and that's the service he needs, by the way, into his feet, not spun in the channels, into his feet, and gets him up the pitch. So that's definitely a positive for Rangers.
Yeah.
But I'm still worried about those wide areas. You saw the ball go out wide left there, and it's just turned. It's a simple ball turned in behind, and you've almost got a centre forward 1v1 with the McGregor in goal.
Going to need a lot more of that from Alfredo Morelos, even for a couple of reasons, Simon. Obviously, to try and attack and to score and get back in the game, but even just to alleviate the pressure, even though from just
here's
even
on
from
him again. Can he deal with this?
From
a wee bit short for him. It wasn't the best of passes.
Yeah,
but
and I think he's given away the foul this time.
Yeah.
But you're looking for something to relieve the pressure, because it's just going one way. It's going towards the Rangers' goal relentlessly. You're looking for somebody like a Morelos, somebody in the middle of the park, but they can't get the ball.
It's just stretching for it.
Wasn't the greatest pass into him.
But you know what? I think Tavernier tried to pick out his feet there. And one thing I used to recognise with Rangers when they were attacking, it would be 2 running forward, 1 coming short. They'd do the opposite to the number 9, and all 3 of them at that point ran forward. Oh, he's just onside
Very tight.
with his head.
His fingers.
Can't score with your hand, Si.
I know.
Unless you're me.
But on Maradona.
Yeah.
James Tavernier's just having a discussion with James Sands. They're trying to sort it out, trying to be a bit more
He
organised
drifts off
than
him.
they were.
Davis has got to be.
He's got to get tight.
aggressive,
He
yeah.
has to. The centre forward actually does his job for him, starts to peel towards him.
Yeah, it does actually.
Ben Davies over at the touchline now, getting some instruction from Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. It's actually quite a long stoppage in play. I actually thought it looked quite innocuous, Marvin.
Yeah.
I didn't think the Napoli player was particularly hurt, but he must have been maybe a twist or something, or landed awkwardly, because he's getting a fair bit of treatment.
Yeah, they've got the substitute centre half warming up as well, so maybe he's struggling a bit. But Gio will be there saying, listen, yes, they've dominated the ball, but the two goals, as I said, if the Ndombele one goes in, you say what a great strike that is.
Yeah.
Not a lot we can do about that, but he'll be so frustrated on the sidelines to concede those 2 goals so early in the game. It's not acceptable.
I think Napoli will soldier on for now. Maybe look at making that change in a couple of moments, but I think he's okay. He's going to come back on and continue. Just a real lull in the play, a real long stoppage. Even referee seems to be taking his time getting things back underway. Don't forget, Rangers fans, technically you're more than welcome to call right now. The open line it's been open all night, so if you find yourself watching from behind the sofa and you want to just get something off your chest, you can do. Obviously we'd expect a lot more of you to pick up that phone maybe at half time and certainly after the game. So bear it in mind. If you find yourself shouting at the TV, shout at Marvin Barltey instead. I feel it's very therapeutic.
Again, a better ball there, and they're out the other side again.
Yeah.
Scott Wright cannot see where the fullback is. There's no pressure on the ball. The opposite winger doesn't know where the fullback is.
Honestly, kind of forgot Scott Wright was playing till you mentioned him there. It's just been that type of night, hasn't he? I'm not saying it's necessarily all his fault. It's just not. I don't think we've even seen him.
No, they've not had any possession to even get in the ball, and he's been made to defend, which to be fair to him, he's not done very well down that side. But they've won the ball there. They've got a throw on. Yilmaz is trying to keep it. Same with Davies. That's wanting to get a few touches, but then they need forward options.
Yeah.
They need somebody to come to feet and spin in behind, which they've done there. Lundstrom's taken up the space. Brilliant.
Yeah, Lundstrom in a sort of rare advanced area. He's just trying to put himself about and cause some difficulties. Giovanni van Bronckhorst and his coaching staff deep in conversation, looking to see what they can maybe do. I don't think the Rangers fans will be feeling too...
It gives the ball away there. Was it Sands? Just helps it through. It's just giving the ball away. Very, very cheap.
Yeah, I was going to say the Rangers fans, generally they're not very happy with the manager at the moment, Simon. Is this where it's always that balance between manager takes the blame, but I'm pretty sure when he went and put that team out, he didn't ask Ben Davies and Leon King to defend like they have for those 2 goals.
Listen, you can prepare the game, the team all week, but see when the players go into the pitch, they have to take responsibility, Gordon. They have to. That's just 2 centre backs not doing their job properly, and they're down to those 2. Goldson's injured, Souttar's not featured, so these 2 have to do it. They have to do their job, and it's great play from the centre forward, but they've not laid a glove on him.
Very effective, this Napoli team, aren't they, Marvin? They're not like some of the brilliant European teams in the past. It's not like they've got loads of the ball and they're like, really tidy, very quick, intricate all the time. They just seem to pick their moments, and they know when to be effective and how to do it.
No, exactly. They're very efficient with their use of energy as well. They know when to take the sting out of it and keep passes, and they know when to try and play through the lines, and that's what's got them 2-0 up, and they're very, very comfortable at this moment in time. As soon as the ball's turned over, again, Scott Wright coming in to try and press the ball, can't affect it, and all of a sudden Rangers are having to defend again. But no, Napoli have been very, very good, and like you said, they've got some of the big hitters on the bench. That's probably the biggest worry.
I'll drip feed some of the other results through that might interest you. Tottenham 0, Sporting 1. That won't go down particularly well. Barca 0, Bayern Munich 2. Now, I think, though, I'm right in saying the Inter result earlier meant that Barca couldn't qualify for the next stage anyway. So a couple of big hitters, big names, big reputations not progressing in the Champions League this season. Barca certainly
Juventus are another
chief
one,
among them.
Yeah.
It's a good pass that from Morelos, and there we said we've not seen much of Scott Wright, but a big chance for him to put one in. And better from Rangers, no takers in the middle.
Play, Scott Wright getting to the byline, cutting it back. I think it was Tillman trying to get on the end of it. A little bit more positive.
Tillman starts that off as well. He takes the ball in a tight area, wriggles past 2 or 3 players and plays a good 3 ball, then he's trying to get into the box. So definitely an improvement.
I was looking at the Rangers in a good position again, and it's a good enough ball into the box, just not quite in the same wavelength. Much better,
Kent,
you'd have to say, in an attacking sense.
Kent maybe burst a gut to get in there. Burst in at the back. Is
that something Rangers fans, whether it's Napoli, Livingston, Dundee United, whoever, they always say they need much more of that from Ryan Kent.
As a wide man on the opposite side, seeing that build up,
that's what I'm thinking.
Identify where I can go and gain advantage. He kind of holds off there.
I know he had a tough night last night, but Abada still caused a bit of chaos by doing it, and that's how they got the goal.
Excellent.
He does it against Rangers, did it against Motherwell.
And yet Kent holds his position wide there. It takes a little deflection through the first Napoli defender, but if you're in there gambling,
that's where you should be.
You maybe get a shot and goal.
And even if you can't get a shot, the defender's clearing the ball under massive pressure rather than taking a touch and then playing out.
That'll go down well. I think that Sporting goal at Tottenham was scored by Marcus Edwards, who came through the Spurs Academy and then moved to Sporting, so I'm sure they'll be
happy with that.
Yeah,
he'll be happy with that.
Someone Sands, is down for Rangers. I think it's James Sands. Is that a head knock?
Simeone came kind of through the back of him. Both jumped up. I think he'll be alright though.
Yes, it has been quite stop-start, hasn't it? Even before the Napoli goals, I feel like we had a couple of just looked like seemingly small stoppages, but ended up.
Napoli would be happy that, though, won't they? The game nice and slow. They're 2-0 up.
Yeah.
Probably feel that if they have to go through the gears again, then they can.
They can do. There's a heavy touch.
That's Scott Wright.
Tavernier does well. It's good footwork and then good running across the pitch to just come into the centre circle and bring Yilmaz into play. He's going to try and link up with Ryan Kent, and Yilmaz comes inside and works a 1-2 and tries to make something happen. It's hard to be too complimentary about his performance just now, Marvin. He's had a tough time defensively, but going forward, the only thing that you do notice, he's very different from Barisic.
Yeah.
Barisic, as you well know, at the weekend, his game's all about staying wide, ball out the feet, cross it from deep. Yilmaz looks much more keen to go in the pitch and get involved, doesn't he?
Almost like the way Greg Taylor plays left back for Celtic. Yeah, it looks a lot more dynamic as well. As you said, he picked up 1 or 2 good 1-2s there as well. So it looks like he much prefers to come inside, and he's got a bit of pace about him. Probably looks like he's better suited to a left wing back than a left back, obviously. I've been disrespectful seeing his defending earlier. Yeah,
he's had a tough first part of this game, but that showed a little bit of positive play going forward. Try to come inside, play with some Rangers midfielders. The move broke down, but at least he's looking to go forward a little bit.
It's not getting necessarily any better for Rangers, but they've weathered a bit of a storm. Would that be?
The injuries have done them a favour. The two injuries there have just taken the sting out the game a wee bit for Rangers.
Because you're like, there's, unfortunately, Marvin, they've lost them so early that there's still time for this to happen. But Rangers, the sort of quick fire, conceding a double, concede a number in quick fire succession against Liverpool. In fact, I think in nearly all the Champions League games they've done that. That's, you look at Ajax away was 32 and 33 minutes right next to each other. Napoli at home a bit different, sort of 85 and 90, but again only 4 or 5 minutes between those goals. Liverpool was ridiculous. What was it, 4 or 5 goals within however many minutes? So unfortunately they've done it early here.
And I think Napoli do have more good, and I really do think they've taken their foot off the gas. But you can see at times when they do break through the lines, it seems like massive trouble for Rangers. Again, centre forward comes off the 2 centre halves, and not one of them follows him. He tries to link up, and it's just managed to head it away. Then Yilmaz gets the clearance, but they have to get to grips with him. They need to. Maybe
a blessing for Rangers. Napoli maybe overplayed slightly in that occasion on the edge of the box, but they're having fun out there.
Yeah, and they're playing with, when they get the space, they're playing with ease.
Going to hold this thought, because here come Napoli. They're into the box once more. That was after us saying they've taken their foot off the gas. Cross in, back post, saved. Alan McGregor, a bit of an easier save. I think you would expect him to make that one for sure, but it's another chance for Napoli.
It's another decent chance. It's held up here to the back post. Can't see who it is. He's just trying to guide it in at that far post, heading it towards the ground. But simple enough header, save for McGregor. But again, we look at Gio there, frustrated with how easy it is. To create these chances.
That's what I was about to say when we let the play run out there. Marvin, the way that built up down the right, Rangers had loads of players back. See, when people talk about pressing, there's like sometimes we fall into the trap of thinking that means your strikers pressing the opposition defenders. But what about doing it in that area? Rangers had about 4 or 5 men just sort of
there's no urgency to defend.
What Napoli were doing.
See, if you don't get tight and physical though, good players can play. You can be a yard off.
But bad players can play, Simon, as well, if you don't get tight to them.
Of course.
So it's not even like they're testing to see how good they are.
This calibre will tear you apart though.
Yeah.
But you have to get close. It's all well being there, but if you don't actually go and make contact or affect it, these guys will play around you all day.
Yeah, there has to be a pride to defend, don't they, and an urgency to do it, and a willing. You have to want to do it. You see, some big Italian teams, when they block shots or blocks crosses, they're all high-fiving each other. It's like a goal for them.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm not seeing that in the first 39 minutes from Rangers.
Yilmaz though, getting to the byline, crossing it in. So Rangers have now at least. I appreciate the bar's been set low. I don't think you celebrate these things, but that's now, is that 3 in the last sort of 5 minutes? Getting to the byline,
Kent holds on to the ball, and Yilmaz makes a decent run.
He's been their best attacking player, hasn't he, Yilmaz?
He is on the ball again.
And he just tries to go in early, and Morelos does well that time. And he's found Tillman a bit better. Great feet. Tillman, brilliant feet, and he's just blocked at the last minute. Definitely Rangers' best chance of the match so far. And on one hand,
it's a nice ball in from Yilmaz. Morelos does really well to keep it alive. and then that's where you're wanting the likes of Tillman in the box.
I've seen the concern, and we even spoke about it. Is Tillman a bit of a luxury for a game like this? But I guess, Marvin, moments like that are what you're hoping can get you something.
Yeah, that's why he's out there. And I said it earlier, forget about what he can't do off the ball. It's when he gets the ball, what can he do? And it's almost magical feat there that creates a chance for himself, and he's very unlucky to not get a shot on target there. So that's what he's in the team for. Get it into his feet in that final third, and he'll try and create. But as I said earlier, Yilmaz is going forward has been very, very good. It's weird, he's been excellent going forward and really struggled defending.
When that then comes back, here Napoli, they're in behind. Luckily the touch is not there, and it goes through to Alan McGregor.
Simone again runs between the two centre backs. I actually don't know. I'd like to know what they're thinking when that ball is wide and there's no pressure on it. Are they just hoping that it just keeps running through to McGregor? Because they're going to get punished again if they keep defending.
Another point on after that good play by Tillman. See, when the ball came back into the box, are you looking for Morelos to not let the centre half pluck it out there and control it and play out easily?
I think that was Ryan Kent. I think it comes to the right back, and Simon said about it earlier, when the ball's on the far side, the opposite winger has to be being proactive and trying to burst into the box.
That's going to be a booking for John Lundstrom. He's only pulled the
Napoli
back
game now, hasn't he?
About 4 times, I think.
That's
Simon.
him done. That's him suspended now for the next one. Yeah.
It's an easy yellow card.
And Donblade does well, doesn't he? But
he's strong.
Yeah.
Even though he's pulling, he's almost getting away from him.
He's almost giving him a piggyback, but you want to stop the attack there, don't you? You knew they were in trouble.
It was 2 hands round the waist, then a hand on the shirt, then the shoulder. Sometimes you got to do it, I think, Matt. I don't know, you've played in that area of the pitch, Marvin? Or do you maybe just let go a bit quicker?
No, I was fouling all day there. I wouldn't have been anywhere near him in the first instance, so he fouled him, Gordon. But if I was, I'd have pulled him back too. Didn't fancy chasing him.
So nearly at half time then. Rangers bang up against it. Very good attacking side, Napoli. Rangers will be disappointed though in the way they've defended.
Don't let them.
Here they come again. Yilmaz has been one of Rangers' best players going forward, Simon. But all of Napoli's attacks have come down his side as well. Is that on him, or does he need more from Ryan Kent?
He probably needs a little bit of help as well. He has been tested more. A lot of their players have been coming down this right hand side. At the moment we're on the other side of the park. But he probably needs a little bit more help from whether it's Kent coming back. It certainly looks, when he's got the ball at his feet, he wants to go and think and play forward, which in normal circumstances Rangers should have a lot of the possession. Not obviously tonight.
It's a bit early to be looking for positives going forward, Marvin. I just wonder if this is maybe even the start of seeing Yilmaz at domestic games, because you'd have to imagine in games where Rangers have got a lot of the ball, that sort of stuff can be an attribute. But maybe when he's having defending to do, and if it is Ryan Kent in front of him, that's a different ask. Yeah,
most definitely. I think it would help Ryan Kent as well when it comes to attacking, because I think Kent needs that person going around the outside of him. I think you're seeing a lot now that teams are doubling up on Kent because Barisic wants it set back to him to then cross into the box. I think if you can get a flyer like Yilmaz running around him, I think it would improve Kent's game as well. But if Yilmaz is fit enough to play in this, then he's definitely fit enough to play domestically. So like you said, this could be the start of it for him.
Salah has put Liverpool 1-up at Ajax, so all the talk before the game, the permutations, that's what you were looking for, Rangers fans, in that one. But the bigger problem is this is not going to plan, not even close, in Naples. So you can almost forget what's happening over there in Amsterdam.
I need reaction. Listen, Ryan Kent's trying to run forward with the ball there. Trying to be positive. Everything that Rangers fans will want from him. You see, when you lose it, you need him to react, don't you? Yeah. Get back behind the ball, try and turn it over, because this moment in time, he's kind of, I've tried to run forward and I've lost the ball. You just need that little bit more from him off the ball. Yeah, you do. You do. You only have to, again.
And here we go. Rangers have nicked it, and Morelos is in here. He's got a man tracking back, but the finish is very tame. Actually, he gets a corner because I'm not sure the goalkeeper
block
covered himself in glory.
Look, the defender gets back here, takes a sling out the shot, and
just didn't have the legs to get away from him, did he?
A bit laboured from Morelos, was it?
Yeah, maybe. Listen, it was a lucky ricochet, and then he's being put through. Maybe he was on his heels when the ball came to him, but like you said, if you look back to him last season, I think he runs through, definitely gets a clean shot on goal.
Yeah, so it's definitely it's better from Rangers. They now have had what you would say is 2 or 3 chances. They find themselves 2-0 down. If they could finish the half on a high with this set piece, first one gets cleared, but Tavernier's going to put it in, and it's a wonderful ball, but well defended by Napoli. Still not clear, only 2 minutes added on. It felt like we would have had more because there's been a lot of injuries, but yeah, again, very small spell for Rangers, but better, Marvin. Just to at least give some sort of belief that you can maybe nick it and you can maybe get into an area.
No, exactly. Listen, as I said, all of these little attacks that they have and keeping possession will help their confidence grow, because they would have been shell shocked, when they were 2-0 down so quickly. And you have to try and look at the positives, and Gio will be saying, listen, we've got no choice but to go out there and score 2 goals. But by the way, when we're trying to do that, you boys at the back need to defend better. Yeah. So, again, get the ball into Tillman's feet, try and get it into Kent's feet. I think they could make a change on the right-hand side, Gordon, if I'm honest, for the second half. I think it's been tough for Scott Wright. He's been playing more as a right wing-back than a right winger, as he skipped past there and Napoli are in the box again.
Oh, luckily for Rangers, the cutback goes closer to John Lundstrom than it does to Ndombele at the edge of the box, and Yilmaz shows a nice turn of pace to just try and spring a counter for Rangers, but Napoli recover. If that is the case though, Marvin, and again we're coming back to team selection and all this stuff, that would be Scott Wright started against Ajax and gets taken off at half time, and started against Napoli, taken off at half time, and barely plays in between. So what's the plan here? What's the thought process?
I honestly have no idea. I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether, because he's more of an honest winger and he's going to do the defensive side of it as well. That's the reason he started. But looking at him from an attacking point of view, I'm not sure how many touches, if any, he's had in Napoli's defensive third, Rangers' attacking third, and that for me is a problem. Yes, Yilmaz has been brilliant behind Kent and feeding him the ball, but down that right hand side he's been quiet.
Half time in Naples. Let's get the eyewitness account from Gabriel.
Napoli 2, Rangers 0 at the interval, with Giovanni Simeone's early brace delivering more pain to this Gers team. 2 balls not defended into the box and expertly converted by the Argentine. There was a massive roar here before kick-off from the ultras around the Stadio Diego Maradona Stadium. It was a comfortable enough start for the Gers. They put in some tough tackles, looked solid enough. They reached the 10-minute mark, looking okay, but in the 11th minute it all fell apart. There was a ball lifted into Simeone from the right back. He was free in between the 2 centre-halves in a world of space, took a touch and a great finish on the swivel. There was nothing Alan McGregor could do to stop it, and 5 minutes later Simeone had his second. He was in between the centre-halves, Davies and King. Yet again, a lovely diving header. You've got to say, credit a great ball from the left back, Mario Rui. Perfect cross onto the Argentine's head, but in so much space again, and suddenly it was 2. It was exactly what Rangers didn't want, what they didn't need, and it looked like it could be a cricket score. Giovanni Di Lorenzo then cut in. He rolled the ball back to Tanguy Ndombele, who rattled the crossbar for Tavernier, blocked Giacomo Raspadori's shot. Raspadori had another free header about 10 minutes before the interval. He should have scored, to be honest, but it was straight into Alan McGregor's arms. Rangers have had a few forays forward through Scott Wright, now Fede Morelos. Yilmaz has been impressive going that way, but not going back towards his own goal. Malik Tillman had a shot blocked after a mazy dribble in the box, and just for the interval there, Morelos had an effort that went out for a corner after a defensive error from Napoli, but they are still yet to test the keeper at all. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst needs to rally his team here. They have to show signs of an improvement in the second half. It looks certainly like there'll be no points here again, but a goal would bring some positivity, or else it could end up being a case of damage limitation for Rangers. Half-time in Italy, Napoli 2, Rangers 0.
The Super Scoreboard podcast is sponsored by Taggart's Motor Group. Taggart's have Jaguar, Land Rover and Volvo showrooms across Glasgow and the West, so you can find the new or used approved car that's right for you. And as Taggart's are part of the Lookers family, one of the largest franchise dealer groups in the UK, you can browse thousands of nearly new and used vehicles in stock nationwide to find your perfect vehicle. They've also launched Click and Sell. It makes selling your car simple by using their trusted dealer network of over 150 sites. Why not give it a go today? See how much you could make on your old car. Taggart's have Land Rover showrooms in Motherwell, Darnley and the north of Glasgow, with their Jaguar and Volvo showrooms found in Hillington. Check out taggarts.co.uk to get your new or used approved Land Rover, Jaguar or Volvo today. Now let's get back to the podcast.
It's Napoli versus Rangers. The Old Firm in Europe's big league. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
So first half for Rangers, Napoli 2, Rangers 0, a double from Simeone, quick fire double very early on in the game. Have Napoli in cruise control. Simon, I mean, in a weird way, I appreciate we're setting the bar pretty low here. Can you take any crumb of comfort from the fact that it's only 2 if you're Giovanni Van Bronckhorst? Because I think once the second went in, people were expecting a proper onslaught, and it might still come, it just hasn't yet.
If I'm being brutally honest, I think that is a positive that it's only 2-0. I know Rangers had a flurry. They had a couple of chances. Tillman in the box, nice feet, it got blocked. Morelos had the shot that was deflected wide. But in that first 20 minutes and maybe first half hour, there was chances. The bar was hit. There was a couple other chances in there. The 2 goals I've just watched back there, it's great centre forward play and it's great crossing. But the 2 centre backs, it's opposites. Both are guilty for either goal. They have to cover each other and at least get something. I mean, the boy has a free header, and the first one, I'm watching King at the back. He takes a touch and he's too slow to go over.
Yeah, Miles.
We're watching the chances, so I'm just watching the chances back there. Then Dombele hitting the bar. There is the positive. It's 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, Marvin, if you're Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, you'll be furious with the defending for the 2 goals.
Oh, most definitely. And do you know what? Some of the other Rangers players should be saying to them as well, no, what's going on there? James Tavernier in there as the captain, saying, how is he getting in between both of you? I think it can't always be on the management team. I said, sometimes as a player, when you go in there and you can see 2 soft goals like that, you take it upon yourself. So before the manager even gets a chance to speak, you say to these boys, what's going on here, by the way? Because they've had 2 free headers at our goal. Look at us at the other end. We're having to work for absolutely every opportunity, and you're just handing them out. So I think the players need to come and be maybe more critical of each other, because, as we said, it's not acceptable. And if they defend like that again in the second half, it's going to be a long, long night.
Yeah.
If you are, I don't know what he's like in the dressing room. I don't know if he's the positive type. Are you trying to point out that they've got into areas, was it 2 or 3 cross balls in? Tillman has a decent chance. Morelos should maybe do better with his. Yeah,
no, most definitely. I think you start with the negatives first, and I think you almost give them the hairdryer treatment, and then you say, right, now let's look at the positives and what can we do better in that final third, because they have done okay. I think, telling Ryan Kent as well, listen, when the ball's on the opposite side, as Simon said earlier, you have to get in the box. We're 2-0 down. We can't afford for you to be 15, 20 yards outside the box and the right back's pulling the ball down from 60 yards and then playing forward. So there is some positives there for them in terms of when they are in the final third, and they can do that better. But they need goals now, and they need somebody to take the game by the scruff of the neck.
I know sometimes, Gabriel, when you're in the stadium, you can almost sense if there's a change going to be made. You can look at the subs and see if anyone's going through their paces. Any clues?
No, nothing yet, Gordon. The subs are out here warming up. You've got Cholak and Matondo knocking the ball between each other. Perhaps that's an attacking substitution that could be made. I will let you know if we see anything. You'd think that perhaps Giovanni Van Bronckhorst will do something to change it. Maybe he does go to a back 5 and drop maybe Sands or Lundstrom into defence, given the fact that it might be a case of just damage limitation. Or maybe he does throw an attacking player and try and go for it. Towards the end of the half there, Napoli looked a bit more slight. You had those chances with Tillman and Morelos. So we'll wait and see, but you would expect him to make a couple of changes at the interval. Nothing I can see yet.
That's the best PA system in European football. It's got to be.
So loud.
Simon, and you're a big music fan. Have you heard this one before?
No, but it sounds good. I wish it was
right.
there.
Have a sing along.
It certainly doesn't sound Italian. I don't know, but Gabriel can maybe find out and let us know. That would be the highlight for
probably in a bar, that's why.
For Rangers fans. Yeah, he's watching it in a pub, isn't he?
He's not there on a picture.
I mean, do you make a change at the break? Does it help you in any way if you're Giovanni Van Bronckhorst?
I think you need to change something, whether that's tactically or it's changing the players on the football pitch. Something needs to change, and if I'm honest, I probably would have. I think you need to get Yilmaz higher into a wing-back position. So whether that's going into kind of a 3-4-3.
Would you argue with really Morelos playing up front in front of Cholak because normally more mobile?
Potentially.
In this type of game.
Yeah.
I
think it's holding the ball up.
Cholak, penalty box.
Yeah,
striker.
He's a penalty box striker.
He thrives on chances. But when I just watched that one back there, the Morelos shot, we discussed it earlier, he can't get away from the defender. The defender actually gives him maybe a yard.
Yeah.
It's back.
Yeah. And that's when you're a yard off your game, isn't it? Because
we keep talking about this notion of what Morelos can bring you only works if he's in the same condition and at the same level as he was previously. If he's not, then what? The comparison doesn't work.
But I think in this sort of game, and I imagine what Gio's thinking would be, is that if we can get the ball into his feet, he can hold it up, we can get Ryan Kent going in behind, we can get Scott Wright going in behind, we can get Tillman running in behind, but he needs to come to feet to get the ball. You know, the flip side of that, when you aren't 100% fit, you can do that side of it. The tough bit is running the other way, and we saw, him struggle to do that a little bit.
Will Rangers make any changes? What will the second half have in store? Does it get any worse? Or are there any crumbs of comfort in this for you Rangers fans? We'll find out next.
It's Napoli versus Rangers. The Old Firm in Europe's big league. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Second half underway. Napoli 2, Rangers 0, and there has been a change at the break. Marvin Barltey.
Yep, Sakala comes on wide right for Scott Wright. We kind of alluded to there need to be a change on that side. At the end of the first half, and obviously Gio's thought the same and made it.
Simon, fine. I don't think you can criticise the change because it's not like Scott Wright has done particularly much, but it does just carry on this theme that particularly on that wide right area, it's just the ultimate mix and match for Rangers. I mentioned it before the game, worth reminding. Scott Wright started against Ajax, taken off at half time. Rangers have played 10 times since then, and the only game he started was Dundee. He's then started tonight off at half time again. It's Sakala, but sometimes it's Matondo, and at the weekend it was actually Arfield. There's no consistency there at all.
No, there's no real logic to it, but I have to keep reminding that I was a coach once, so there's obviously, you would like to think, reasoning behind it, whether the way people are going about their business day to day in training. But it's another 45 that, and I'm not blaming Scott Wright at all for the performance in the first half. A lot of the Rangers players were off it. They brought Sakala on. What does he add? A bit of pace, but they need to get the ball to utilise him. He's moving inside here, but I don't see him again as a guy that's going to help Tavernier behind him out defensively when Napoli have got the majority of the possession. So interesting to see how it pans out, but yeah, there's no kind of rhyme or reason to the selection at the moment with Rangers.
You see the position Sakala took up there, Simon. It's almost like, oh no, they could be in again here.
Yeah, it's good defending this time, is it?
Well done.
From was it Leon King that
was
ended up
King,
coming across? Yeah,
a lot closer to the centre forward when the ball's wide. Yeah, exactly. But he's in the vicinity of him, so he can affect it. So no, he does well there. But just on the point of Sakala going right the way across when Rangers defend down their left hand side, I think he's stopping that switch of play. Not letting the centre midfielder turn out and play it out. They're making him hit the diagonal, which is obviously a lot harder ball to get right. So maybe that's the slight adjustment that they've made at half time. Gets a little bit lucky there, but it's when you need the pace to get up the pitch.
Yeah, but Raspadori's no slouch either and goes sliding in on Sakala.
But as a fullback, Gordon, as well, seeing Sakala come on, in the first half, I think both fullbacks were going forward at will. Now you're thinking, hang on a minute, if he stays high and wide and they turn it over, I'm going to be in massive trouble. So it's a bit of cat and mouse as well, knowing that you've got that pace behind to affect them if Napoli are to vacate that kind of left-back area.
So the second half has not really come to life yet, just 3 or 4 minutes in. Rangers trying to get it up to Morelos. Not sure if at some point we see Cholak instead of him, or maybe as well as. Might depend on how Rangers manage this opening stage of the.
Is he offside?
He's waiting for a flag. If the flag doesn't go up,
he missed anyway?
He's missed anyway. A big the flag went up.
He looked offside.
Heart and mouth moment for Rangers. There was a ball over the top, lifted over Alan McGregor. Simeone, he missed the hat trick and the flag went up.
That's a better line, isn't it?
Yeah, he's offside there.
Much better line though from the two centre halves. They can't get close enough to affect his run, but what they can do is stay in line with each other and allow him to run forward. So it's a better start to the second half rather for them. Only 4 minutes into it, but that's a lot better than what they did in the first half.
Just managing this first section of the second half. I was going to say it's important, Simon, but then we thought that about the first 10 minutes of the first, and then it's.
I'm thinking the exact same thing.
At this level, it just happens quickly.
The first 10 minutes, yeah. You have to be at it for the full game. But yeah, they've started okay. They've started the second half okay.
And Marvin, let's be fair, is part of this about how Napoli feel, because ultimately they made 6 changes. They've rested their big hitters. When Liverpool came to Ibrox, they were a bit bruised, they were getting criticised, and it felt like towards the end of that game they knew they could go out and make a statement. Do Napoli need to? Do they want to? We'll find out.
Yeah, I think they will, because I think football's a very ruthless game, and I think if they're 2-0 up with 30 minutes to go, then I can imagine their manager bringing on the big hitters that they've rested today. But don't forget, this is only 3 changes from the team. I know 6 changes from their last game, but 3 changes to the team that started at Ibrox, and 2 of the subs came on who are starting today, actually scored goals. So still a very, very good team, no doubt about it.
But it's just that front 3, like we said.
Yeah.
Simon, we call him the Georgian lad and leave Gabriel with the pronunciations. He is absolutely magnificent.
Yeah.
And if Rangers see him coming on,
the lad Osimhen scores a fantastic goal at the weekend as well. And watching how the centre backs have dealt with Simeone, he's a physical presence as well. Osimhen, so that he would carry a huge threat. But listen, you're looking at a team who have started the top of Serie A. They're the top of this group with Liverpool in it. They're a good squad.
He bullied Chris Smalling something awful, didn't he, for the goal at the weekend against Roma.
He did.
Liverpool have gone 3 up in Amsterdam. Nunez got the second. I think it's another quick fire double for them. Rangers fans, you'll know all about that, how quickly they can turn it on. Napoli might be in again
offside,
here. Saved Alan McGregor corner.
Oh, he wasn't.
I thought he was on that time.
Kept the flag down.
I thought he was on. I think the guy in the middle might have been off, but
he was just onside. What
and
a fantastic
Ndombele,
ball that was in Ndombele outside of the foot.
Outside of the boot. It was a good save from McGregor.
Good save, Alan McGregor. Now Rangers with a set piece to defend. They've not had too many to defend, and they've had a lot of stick for them in the Champions League so far this season, so they need to get this one right compared to some of the other efforts. You think Liverpool at Ibrox, you think even some of the others. It's Harvey Elliott that's scored the third for Liverpool. I'm not convinced it was a good ball by Napoli, but it almost caused trouble because it was so low.
That front post area again, they moved Shakhtar out of it and they left him at the edge of the box this time, but there seems to be a massive gap because Napoli have 2 players out, Rangers take 2 players out as well, but the gap in front of Tavernier again is huge, and I think that's what he's aimed to hit there. Having
watched the Liverpool game, maybe that level of detail sometimes goes into the planning, doesn't it?
Oh, it has to. Playing in the Champions League, any small percentages that you can make up, whether it be a set play or anything else, you're definitely going to be watching those games.
So 52 and a bit gone, Napoli 2, Rangers 0. The second half's been much like the first, where you can easily see the danger that the home side can possess, especially if you're going to give it away like James Sands has just done.
Tackle.
However, he's recovered brilliantly, and then he's lost it again.
But that's the reaction we were talking about, wanted from Kent. That's what we were talking about. That's the reaction to losing the ball. You're going to lose the ball at times,
and that's so much better from Malik Tillman. That's not something you associate with him. He tracked back, actually outmuscled the Napoli midfielder and came away with the ball. We know Sakala's quick, but the ball over the top didn't give him much of a chance.
No, not at all. And that's probably one of the ones that you secure the first pass. You just turned over possession.
Yeah.
Sanders did it, tried to play forward, got tackled. But the next time you do it, try and secure a pass.
Give Sakala the chance as well with the one over the top.
Yeah.
Have Rangers gone to a back 5?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, you think he's fallen into it?
James Sands not gone back in there?
I think he was just that deep at that point.
Yeah,
I think they're probably asking for help back there.
Yeah, he receives it more in a.
Yeah, we'll see.
Not so sure. Let's see once Napoli get the possession again.
Anyway, it's need to argue about it too much. I just thought it looked like he'd been playing a bit deeper in the second half, sort of staying in line with the other centre backs.
That's the important bit of that pass.
Certainly Gabs in the stadium thinks it looks more like that. Looks like a 5 where he's sitting.
Okay.
But
what? See, what I want to know, Gordon, why make that change at halftime? What have you seen in that first half that you thought, right, let's go to a back 5? Because there's only one centre forward within there, so you're saying that the 2 other centre halves need to protect him when the ball's wide, which
when you've only got
3v1.
Yeah, or is it more to do with wide areas? No idea. You guys are the tactical minds in here.
Yeah,
he's obviously clocked something, but
I think when you make your mind up though to go over formation, I was all for the back 3 before the game, and that's the way I thought that they were going to start. But when you've come up with tactics and a game plan, obviously to affect Napoli, and then you've changed it at half time, is that admitting that you're wrong, or I would like to understand the reasoning behind it.
They're only playing with the one through the middle.
Exactly.
So you would think the two should be able to deal with the first 2 goals.
Yeah, and if they can't, then you make a sub, don't you, back there, rather than maybe changing formation. Like Yilmaz again.
Yilmaz getting forward.
Yeah. he's actually brilliant going forward, isn't he?
Yeah, long road back for him though.
Yeah.
As Napoli come up the pitch, Rangers have got okay numbers back. I suppose that's part of it, that collective responsibility, isn't it? That if it's not Yilmaz who goes back into that area, then someone else does.
3 centre-backs helps with that though, because the left side of centre-half can then go into a left-back just for that time being when Yilmaz does bomb forward, so it does help with kind of defensive side of it.
That 5 is strung out, isn't it? It's not like it's a back 3 with Tavernier and Yilmaz pushed on a bit. When they've not got the ball, that's a flat 5, isn't it?
5-4-1.
You can now see it, which means a real shift for Morelos, but also for others to maybe get close to him.
Tillman and Lundstram have got a massive job on their hand because they're now outnumbered in that middle part. And as you said, Tillman's game isn't really tracking back and winning the ball, so Lundstram's got a lot of responsibility on his shoulders in the second half.
Napoli are at this point just sort of swinging it side to side. It definitely looks more compact from Rangers. Whether they can stay there or not is a different question, because here come Napoli into the box. Yilmaz does well, pokes it away, but doesn't do that well because it goes to a Napoli shirt.
Yeah, it's all Napoli now. It looks as if the way they've set up, it's almost like a damage limitation now.
Yeah, they're sitting right behind
Second
the ball.
half.
Yeah, I'm not convinced we're in for the most exciting second half here. That's my fear, Marvin, from the neutral perspective.
I think Napoli will work it out, Gordon. I think you just see them moving the ball here from left to right, and they're just trying to work out what Rangers have done. And once they work it out, I think you're going to see more goals, mate. I don't think you'll be disappointed.
Just looking to clip one over the top on that occasion that they don't quite get right. And as you said, it's a big shift because Lundstram went forward, didn't he? But one pass went round him, sort of thing. And
then he's in trouble and trying to get his way back. Again, when you play wing backs, it's difficult again in the wide areas. If you don't get that right, that relationship between the outside centre half and the wing back, you're going to have 2 3v1s in that area. So they need to get that right, definitely.
Like I said, the material, Rangers are extremely unlikely, more than that, to go on and get anything here. But maybe, because here comes Malik Tillman.
Shot away.
He's been closed down well. He goes
Great
down in the
defending.
box. I'm not sure he gets straight back up. I don't think.
Handball.
Malik Tillman's
It's good play though from Rangers.
handled the ball as he
one
goes down.
touch passing gets him in there.
Good run from him as well, from kind of out to in. But is it not one touch there, Simon, get your shot away just for a bit of confidence?
Yeah, possibly.
Just trying to
Once
probably
you
get
get
too
in.
close. And that's good defending, isn't it? That's the right back, by the way, the captain. It just came across and right across the pitch and defended.
I'm not actually convinced he did handball it there. It's not a massive call because I don't think he was getting the ball or doing anything with it, but I'm not sure he even did handball it.
Referee's just guessing, isn't he?
Fussy referees.
Yeah, he's just giving a foul. What chance we got?
What I was going to say was it really doesn't matter now, or it doesn't look like it will, but it's still Liverpool 3 up in the Johan Cruyff Arena. So
there you go, the 1-2.
Yeah, Rangers perhaps fortunate there that Napoli, the touch was back the way they were almost in, but they decided just to take a more controlled approach and not burst forward.
It's a central area, Gordon. You see, Napoli have almost playing with 2 number 6s now because they know that Lundstram and Tillman can't come out anywhere near them. So, they're switching it left to right at will.
Yeah, and you can see Sakala, although he's on, and you think of him as being pacey and trying to get you up the pitch, he's having to come a long way back as well to help out and to paint the picture for you. Morelos is about 20 yards inside his own half. So it's very much a containment job, and he doesn't look. It's a tough shift anyway, by the way, so a bit of sympathy, but he's. I don't think he'll be enjoying it, Marvin.
No, that's not his game. Tillman's
better.
Done well there.
Yeah,
good.
pinched it.
Good press from Tillman, but unfortunately Lundstrom's ball isn't great.
Pass, isn't it? Just that final bit. Now they are getting a little bit closer. They're being a bit more patient and compact, like you said there, Gordon. It's just when you turn it over, secure that first pass. If you can secure it forward, even better.
Yeah, Ryan Kent looks to come in field, and Rangers maybe feeling a bit more sure of themselves in this shape. But as Marvin says, you can still see what Napoli are capable of, certainly.
I'd like to see Tavernier come a lot wider there. He's almost taken up kind of a holding midfield possession. It's come a lot wider. Let the 3 centre-halves deal with that bit. Try and stretch the game.
Morelos tried a shot from the edge of the box. It always looked ambitious, but sometimes you
Positive
get that
play.
break. And it did fall Rangers' way, and then Tillman tries to swing one in. So it's a bit better for Rangers. I think we can say that.
I think the shape, and they've definitely went back to that more defensive shape and trying to just capitalise on anything if they can nick something. As Marv says there, they got a wee bite there with Tillman in the middle of the park, but that first pass has to be much better.
Yeah, they have to secure it, don't they? Because otherwise it's just turned into a game of basketball, which will probably suit Napoli more than it will suit Rangers. But no, they are a bit more control possession in Napoli's kind of defensive third, Rangers attacking third.
There's a wonderful pass out to Ryan Kent. Was it Sands that hit that one? And I think that is going to be a free kick to Rangers.
Brilliant.
Good crossing position, a chance to load the box and put one on top of the goalkeeper perhaps.
But now Rangers are doing to Napoli what Napoli were doing to Rangers in the first half. They've got width, so they're attacking down, Rangers' right-hand side, and then Kent staying out really wide left, when it's building up, so you can hit him on a diagonal. What he needs to do, though, if they start attacking down the right-hand side of Napoli's defensive third, they need to come in at the back post. But that's a brilliant position he's picked up there. He's really stretching them. Hopefully get a good delivery now. From Tavernier. Oh, he's not taking it.
Yilmaz is going to take it. It's going to be the outswinger. Unless he tries something adventurous, but it doesn't look like anyone's hanging around for a cut back.
Oh, that's gone out, isn't it?
Still there.
And honestly, if you are... I was sure the ball had gone out. I was going to criticise the delivery from Yilmaz, which still wasn't great, by the way, but it stayed in and allowed Rangers. I was pretty certain that had gone out.
Our eyes are deceiving us,
and come back in.
That's why we're not referees.
Exactly. And this is where it can be tough for Rangers, because it looked like the press was alright, but Napoli
they play it out so well there. They play it out brilliantly. Tavernier gives away the free kick.
Do you think he tries to win a ball there that he doesn't need to try and win, Simon? Rather than just contain them in that sort of area, he tries to win and get turned.
I think the little guy got away from him there. I think he was... It sounds silly, but the break was on. He had got away from him.
Yeah.
Lovely little pass in.
Ended up being a good foul then.
A couple of high-scoring games. Atletico Madrid 2, Bayer Leverkusen 2. That's a cracker. In Group B over there in the Spanish capital.
Given a foul?
A foul
for the first bit.
I think maybe a wee bit fortunate there, Tillman.
I think he got a little bit of a tug the first bit. I can see some substitutions coming in there, because I think Napoli are falling a little bit flat, haven't they?
15 minutes into the first, any attack that Napoli had, it was full of danger.
Yeah,
that has been taken out of the game, I think, by the shape
you'd
changed
be
by Rangers.
this now, Marvin. I mean, you've only retired not so long, but I think there was one fingertip placed on Tillman's bicep, and the ref spotted enough.
Yeah, not for me. That style of football wasn't for me. Couldn't pass, but I didn't mind tackling.
You wonder then, again, we talk about Napoli's ambition. Do they throw on the big hitters here?
I think they'll make changes, I think they will. I don't think their manager will be satisfied with this first 15 or so minutes. As I say, there's not been a great deal of threat going forward. You maybe have to give Gio and the Rangers team credit for that. They've shifted their shape. They've taken that threat away a wee bit. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was one or two thrown on from Napoli just to change it a bit.
They're taking up much better positions now. The attacking players for Rangers, they're falling into pockets. He's unlucky, but
you go direct and it asks questions, because I'm not sure it was necessarily a brilliant ball from Rangers, but the Napoli left back had to do something, and he's headed it out for a corner that James Tavernier will take.
They can just nick a goal from a set play, then it changes the whole dynamics of the game. Because you said, Rangers have started this half really well, playing the three at the back. So just now kind of get that goal and really take the game to Napoli after that. Yeah,
Tavernier's out swinging corner. It's a really good delivery, and it is a Rangers head, and it's a big chance. It's a big chance for Rangers. It falls to Morelos at the back post, and it's blocked and goes over for another corner kick.
Yeah, it's a great chance. It's actually what Morelos is really good at, just gambling where it's going to come. I think he might actually come off the Napoli defender, and the volley is a great block.
Yeah, great technique. Just peels off the back of it, doesn't he? He doesn't get caught up in the first instance.
He does well with that.
Yeah,
he's good at that.
Good so Tavernier's going to get a second bite at it. The first ball was good. It caused problems for Napoli, so he'll get another goal. And it's a bit higher, a bit loopier this time. Makes it easier for the defender to clear. And then Yilmaz just tries. You talk about decision making. That's what's that? 35-year-old 35-yard half volley that he's hoping.
Difficult.
Yeah. You're not getting that on target, are you?
Difficult technique. It's very high. He's trying to get his hip over it. Gets it all wrong.
I mean, Rangers they've pressed high there, but the problem is Napoli then just wriggle out and it leaves you a bit exposed.
They need to do that now, don't they? They need those turnovers. Yeah,
but then at the same time, I thought the second half had been built on actually sitting deeper and making life harder for Napoli back the way rather than...
Yeah, I just think when it comes from a goal kick, maybe they're thinking, right, let's press high in play. Definitely, great. And Ndombele has a loose touch there at the edge of the Rangers box, so a good first touch could have caused them trouble.
Tavernier's given it away, and luckily for him, it's smashed over the bar. A bit of a poor finish in the end, but that shows how quick it can happen, because it's Rangers' best spell of the match, and Tavernier almost gifts a third goal to Napoli.
Yeah, that's sloppy, isn't it? Really, really sloppy. Lack of concentration. No one really around him.
Well under hit.
Yeah,
well under hit.
It's almost a perfect weight for the Napoli player running onto it. And they need to kind of eradicate those sorts of mistakes if they're going to get back into this game.
Rangers look to play out. It goes short to King, and then he fires it slightly longer into Lundstrom, and that's good
Great
build-up,
ball.
really good build-up, because Morelos comes deep and spins it out to Kent.
Yilmaz has gone just in front of him.
And there we are. It's a sitter.
No, he has to score.
It's a sitter for Alfredo Morelos. Rangers are not doing badly at all in this second half, and certainly should have one goal to show. That's a sitter for Alfredo Morelos. He doesn't get any contact on it. He is 3 yards out. The goal is at his mercy, and he misses the ball completely.
Does not do Yilmaz any favours.
No,
plays the ball behind him. It behind him. It's dug out brilliantly. It's as good as a cross as the two Napoli ones in the first half, and it's a simple finish.
He has to score there. He has to. 99 times out of 100, he's putting that in the back of the net. But Yilmaz and Kent, that link down that side has been much, much better this half. Kent staying nice and wide. When Tavernier was down the right hand side, they've got it. They switch the ball out to him, and that's Yilmaz's trigger to go. As soon as that happens, he's running around him. It allows Kent to come inside and be 1-on-1 with a fullback, or he can roll him in like he just did there. Much better play.
Absolutely got to score though. If we're talking about defenders not doing their bit and all the rest of it, at any level of football, your striker needs to score.
Has to get on the end of it. Any sort of contact at all, it's in the back of the net, and he just completely misses it.
Double change for Rangers. Malik Tillman goes off and Scott Arfield comes on, and that will be Alfredo Morelos' last involvement in the match. He will be replaced by Antonio Cholak. He's in no hurry to come off Alfredo Morelos, which is not ideal when Rangers are trying to get back into this game. Chances don't come any easier, really, do they?
I think that's what he's frustrated with there. He's frustrated with himself, because he knows that should be in the back of the net and it should be 2-1. So him walking off the pitch there is just a massive frustration at himself. But again, much, much better from Rangers.
Yep. Some
fresh legs now in there. I think if Cholak gets one of that, if Cholak gets that opportunity, he'll put it in the back of the net. So they need to keep doing the same things now.
And that is part of the many problems for Rangers, I suppose, this season. Simon, at the moment they're doing fine against Napoli, so they're going to lose the game probably. They've had a little spell. It's not necessarily about tonight, but where is Alfredo Morelos at level wise? What can he contribute? Is he going to stay? Do you want to even offer him a new contract? Will someone come and buy him? All of these questions still need to be answered.
I think the answer is yes. If you get the Morelos of
that's the big if, isn't it?
Of course it is, and that's down to the guy himself. I've said before, easiest things to get yourself fit and ready. You just wonder there, and it's maybe harsh on him, but if he's mentally on it there and as sharp as he usually is, he's getting on the end of that cross and putting it in.
That's probably two or three chances.
The one in the first half, if he's 100% fit, Morelos-esque, he's away from the defender. He's not allowing the defender to get the block on the shot, but he just looks that wee bit off it. But we're nearly in November.
Yeah.
So it's a hard one to answer. If you get the Morelos, but again, there's no guarantee of that fit one for a new contract or a future at Rangers.
I think you
would argue he's their best striker still.
Yeah, most definitely. I think you have to give him a new contract regardless of what's kind of happened this season.
Is that definite right now for you though?
Yeah.
Because bearing in mind, the new contract for Alfredo Morelos is probably something, depending on what else is out there for him, because he's had a few contract extensions in his time. You give Alfredo Morelos a new long-term deal, you're looking at mid-30s £1,000 a week probably, or I don't know, even somewhere around there, low 30s, whatever.
Yeah, I'm 100% giving him a new contract, because what does it take to replace him? How much do you have to pay to get a player
to replace Morelos this season?
No, to replace the one that's been there at Rangers from start to finish. So we can look at this season and he's not fit, and that's happened, but he needs to sort that out. But if he gives you his words, listen, I'm going to knuckle down and do everything you want me to do, he's still a vital player for them. And as Simon said, if fit, arguably he's their best striker.
If fit, but there must be issues. There is issues somewhere where we're talking at the 27th October. and you're still talking about a professional
Fitness.
footballer's fitness.
Yeah.
We can't. 6 weeks ago, he started the home game against Napoli. 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So, come on, he's not even been out injured in that time. Somehow, Napoli have dug out an incredible cross and shown no desire to get on the end of it.
Simeone, for the first time in this game, has been caught flat-footed there. I think this trickery and the ball into the box surprises even him.
Caught
Yeah,
him out.
because that's into a real dangerous area.
He's dug the cross out really well.
Yeah, fantastic cross.
Maybe the best thing that's happened to Rangers is that none of the big hitters have come on for Napoli, but I think they might be about to. I can certainly see a couple of bodies waiting in the dugout.
How do you feel as a fullback seeing that?
Yeah, Tavernier's lost out. It's a great
great
50-50.
tackle.
You
Love that.
them, Marvin, don't you?
Absolutely. Oh no, is he
Hurt
hurt?
himself.
That was a
Cramp.
bit of cramp.
Big
Was that-
cramp.
Both? What, both of them?
Yeah.
Leon
Looks like
King
it.
and...
Fantastic tackle by the young man though.
Yeah, Lozano is one of them. Hold on, the Napoli staff are saying just to wait just now because they're wondering if that is going to be an injury in the middle of the park.
Yeah, some fresh legs coming on for them now though.
Yeah, Lozano on, Politano off. The Georgian fella, I don't think he's coming on though. That's good news.
Georgian fella.
That's certainly a positive because he's an absolute flying machine.
Yeah,
I think it is a double change, but they're not sure about that second one. They're just waiting to see if anyone is injured in the middle of the pitch. A real bit of confusion.
I think it might be a triple change in the end, isn't it?
A lot of weird, unnecessary stoppages in this game, it seems.
Yeah, there's only be 1 minute added on.
I was saying to you that the two injuries in the first half, I think they helped the way the game was going for Rangers, because if we rewind to 20 minutes into this game when they were 2-0 up, it was 2-0 going on 4-5 at half time. It kind of killed the pace or the momentum of the game. And then you have to give Rangers credit in the second half. The shape change has worked well for them up until now. I know we've got 20 to go, but they've had the real good chance with Morelos in that time, and you know they've had a decent bit of the play. They've taken the danger out of the Napoli attack.
Rangers haven't created a lot in this group. From memory, off the top of my head, that's got to be the best chance Rangers have made in this entire campaign, is it not? That Morelos one?
Yeah.
Most definitely, and it falls to the man you'd expect to put in the back of the net, especially of players who are on the pitch at that moment in time. And we spoke about having that ruthlessness in the final third at this level.
Two subs coming on.
Yeah, and
It's finally made it now. They put the graphic up earlier, didn't they?
yeah. So it's still just the two. It's still Lozano on, Politano off, and
Gaetano.
and who's the man coming off? Did that change it? No, it's just the left back was just going over to congratulate Elmas. Is going off as well. So a couple of changes to freshen things up for Napoli. Again, you get the feeling that quite a lot of this is about their desire. Do they want to kick on and make it more, or how much do they feel the need to?
Listen,
we're
subs
looking at
coming on, you want to make an impact, and the first bit,
He's
first
just
touch, he
passed out
kicks
the
it
pitch.
straight off the pitch. Sub him back off.
I can't say that it's going to be as bad as last night in Shakhtar, of course not. And he does score anyway, but you're going to want to check out Darwin Nunez's miss for Liverpool against Ajax. It is spectacular. He's a sort of 6 yards out, open goal, and hits the post. Although Morelos is maybe running him close tonight with that one. He doesn't even get a contact on that one. Rangers almost built something there at the edge of the box, but the pass wasn't great, and Napoli nipped in.
Danger.
And here's the danger: if this
free
is
in the
squared
middle,
across,
isn't
it
he?
could
Pull
be
it back.
free.
Great
He should have
defending.
crossed it
He should have
first
done
time.
it first time.
Yeah.
Rangers are delighted that he didn't. I think you first time cross that, and it probably does end up in the back of the net.
Yeah, he's got to do it first time, but I don't think if you watch it back, he should know the guy's there, but he didn't lift his head, and by the time he does and gets the second touch, I think it was it King that got the block?
Tavernier does brilliant, great strength down by the corner flag,
done.
wins a throw in.
Absolutely brilliant. You see the game's being stretched a little bit more now. That's one ball down the side, and all of a sudden Rangers having to defend running back towards their own goal.
Is it Leon King?
Is it Cramp?
'Cause, he flew into the tackle in the middle of the pitch a couple of moments back. Looked like he had perhaps a bit of cramp,
Hopefully it's nothing more than that.
and that's part of the difficulty, though, isn't it? Physically, 18 years of age, 75 minutes.
Yeah.
And you go,
Yeah,
you're
Barisic.
in an arena like this. Borna Barisic is going to come on for Leon King. It was just when he jumped to head of the ball, I think the The calves told him that
That was enough.
the end of the evening for him. So what's that going to look like then with Borna Barisic coming on?
I think Sands will go to right of the three. You'll push Davies across to the middle and potentially Barisic playing the left of the three. Yeah. Or if he goes left wing back and Yilmaz comes left of the three. I imagine that's what it will look, something like that. But that could work, him having him left of the three and Yilmaz one up. There might be a better position for him.
Yeah, every time someone goes down, it just seems to take a while, and the game does kind of suffer for it. It's been a very slow second half, but there is that change. Barisic coming on for Leon King.
Be interested to see how the Rangers fans, if it stays this way, with this second half performance and only losing 2-0, how they'll feel after the game. Opportunity missed because you haven't started this way, or
is it a shrug of the shoulders? Is it one of them?
I think from the Rangers fans I spoke to before this game, I think they'll be happy, especially the way the game started. I know what you're saying. Hindsight, start that way and you could maybe be in the game longer.
Yeah.
Do we argue that Napoli get the 2 goals up and then
come off of it?
Whether it's deliberate or subconsciously, we've got this wee bit of both maybe. But after 2-0 down after 20 minutes, I feared the worst for Rangers.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Totally agree. Didn't think it'd be the 76th minute and, still only 2-0. So, again, we're looking for small positives, aren't we? Also, we're talking about, we spoke about Celtic earlier and, people being better for the experience. Young King, he'll be better for this experience. He's a young man learning his trade and playing against, against Napoli, one of the most lethal teams in European football. So, be an absolutely fantastic experience for him going forward.
Of course it will be.
Lyncham just trying to play it forward there. But no, Rangers, listen, they could be happy with this second half so far. A goal would really top it off if they can potentially get one. But I think if they carve a chance open now, then you've got Cholak on the pitch who will, I imagine, put it in the back of the net.
Yeah, it's an easy thing to say now, but I can't imagine he would have missed the one that Morelos did just based on what he's done this season.
Yeah, I don't think Morelos would have missed the chance that he missed though.
No.
I think it's just one of those things, isn't it, that kind of a freak of nature because it's came across. I think he's got his eye on it. He probably thinks it's too easy. I'm just going to put this in the back of the net, thinking about his celebration. And
he's actually made a decent run to get in there, from deep, and it's a fantastic cross. It's a cross with pace, but just get anything on it, any purchase on it, and it's in the back of the net.
So that latest change was Leon King off and Borna Barisic on, a sort of enforced one, I think. Maybe cramp for Leon King, maybe something slightly more serious. We'll find out. Gabriel is in the stadium tonight. Remember, he will hear from Giovanni van Bronckhorst afterwards, but firstly we'll hear from you. When this is done, when this is finished, give us a call, Rangers fans. What have you made of the performance tonight? Any signs of encouragement, signs of improvement? Hold your hands up, against a better side. The defending, is that a bit of a concern early on? Let us know all your thoughts. Borna Barisic does well, his first involvement.
Yeah, good defending.
Brilliant ball around the corner from Yilmaz as well. Again, we were quite critical of his defending in the first half, or parts of the first half.
Is he on?
No, I think he's offside. He's going forward. He's looked excellent.
Looks comfortable
today
on
for
the
Rangers.
ball, doesn't he?
Yeah,
looks
excellent.
Quite composed, brave on it.
Happy to play forward
tight
passes.
areas, yeah.
We'll drive forward with the ball.
Considering you are far more likely, even if Rangers are out of form or whatever at the moment, they're still going to dominate domestic games. This has to be the start of him playing, does it not?
Based on this performance, I think so. And I think it improves Kent. I think, as I said earlier, I think it improved Kent's performance having someone flying around the outside of him. So, yeah, I think this is kind of the start for him. He's definitely done more than enough today in an attacking sense to warrant a place in the starting team against Aberdeen on Saturday.
Where has he been, the Rangers fans will say? Why has he not started more games? But Rangers much, much better the second half. That was a good press, but they have to be very careful here because Napoli are going to come forward. Rangers have got good numbers back when it's fired across, but Alan McGregor's forced into a smart save at his near post.
Great save.
Yeah, good save. Again, you would expect him to save it.
One full back to another.
Yeah, played behind the striker. It's a comfortable enough save, puts it away for the corner.
Yeah, so Rangers with some set piece defending to do.
It's out for the corner.
No, actually, it's gone out for a throw in.
I think it's a corner, isn't it?
Was it?
Yeah, I think they're just slowing the game down.
Like you said, Marvin, there are these little clues. Napoli don't seem in any great hurry. I'm not saying they're going to deliberately not take chances if they come along, but that urgency doesn't. It's almost like they know the game's won. It's
about saving energy now, isn't it? You're top of the Champions League group. They've got big demand.
And they have just scored from the set piece, though. Rangers, for all their hard work in the second half, undone in the simplest of fashion. In swinging ball, Rangers actually looked static, completely static in the middle, and the header ends up coming in from relatively far out, Simon, and it ends up in the bottom corner.
And I think he's leaning back. I think if we watch it again, you get a lot of power on the header.
Yeah, it's a fantastic header.
A lot of power on it.
It's behind
Rangers
him, isn't
set
it?
pieces though, in this group overall.
Let's
Marvin,
watch it again here. He's leaning. He's coming back.
Lundstrom.
His momentum's coming back.
He takes Lundstrom under the ball and peels out, almost on the penalty spot. That's a fantastic
good
header,
header.
by the way.
I was going to say,
Great
right,
header.
we'll get to Rangers in a minute because Lundstrom should have done better. That is a
great header.
magnificent header.
He's
isn't
going
it?
the wrong way.
Comes off his head.
Yep.
Some power.
Exactly, great pace on it.
Yeah,
Maybe that's who Ndombele was thinking of when he put that first half one in, because that there is,
it's a great header.
yeah, once you get that on target, McGregor's got unless it
No
hits
chance.
him, absolute zero chance
No
with that.
chance.
A fantastic header, and now it's 3-0.
Lundstrom puts his head in his hands though. He knows that was slack.
Yeah. One thing I noticed about Rangers defending set plays is they're very square. They all seem to be facing the ball. You know, rather than being at an angle, like man ball. You know, they all seem to be facing the ball, and that's what happens with Lundstrom there. So because he's facing the ball, the defender does one run, takes him underneath it, and then just peels back. But listen, let's take nothing away from the header. That was absolutely brilliant.
He's bulleted it, and going back the way the momentum's getting back.
Fantastic.
You're not expecting him to get that power on it.
Yeah, brilliant technique. Absolute brilliant
I've got
technique.
visions of that guy in the gym doing the neck, strapping the weights around his forehead and doing the old neck
Taking everybody by
exercises.
surprise, because normally going back the way it's maybe getting looped, but he's powered it.
And that's, Rangers haven't deserved that with their second half performance. They really haven't deserved that. And now Napoli have got their kind of tails wagging again, and everyone's wanting the ball, and they're playing through the lines at will.
Slack from Ndombele, I think it was, just gave it away. Chance for Ryan Kent to maybe just shift it and get a shot in.
That's the pass.
Arfield will be offside, I think. No, he's not.
Still onside.
Still playing then as the ball comes in. Header from
it'll go up
Sakala
now,
just
won't
goes wide. I think there's another double change coming for Napoli. Still no Georgian lad. I didn't see his number waiting on the sidelines.
No, he's been given a full rest tonight.
I hope people get the reference, because if you're just tuning in, you're going to think I'm being particularly lazy, and I am. But we were making a joke earlier about how the name is very difficult to pronounce, and Gabriel's been practicing all week and he's done brilliant at it, so we're leaving it to him.
Surely by the end of the show, though, Gordon, you'll give us an attempt
absolutely,
at it.
for sure.
Yeah, make us happy.
Zielinski is coming on. Lobotka is going off. That's one of the changes for Napoli, so they are shuffling the pack with probably about 10 minutes to go. Did it tell you who the other one was? Yeah, Raspadori off and Zerbin on. They can afford now to enjoy themselves. Simon, going to express themselves and see if they can get a fourth.
They've not really. Have they taken the foot off the gas? Is it a bit of everything really? They've not looked as dangerous in the second half. And I probably agree with Marvin. It's a wee bit unfortunate on Rangers that they score from the set play. Rangers have did okay in the second half. They've certainly improved in the shape, taking the threat. I mean, every time Napoli went forward in the first half, they looked as if they were going to score virtually. So a little bit of success from there, but again, it's another goal.
And it will be a particularly frustrating one, because if you think you've got to grips with the way Napoli were getting down the sides and the way that they were cutting through you, to then lose one to like the most simple set piece.
Yeah, massive frustration for all the players and the coaching staff, because as you said, to lose that goal from a set piece. But I'm a bit critical I don't want to be critical rather of Lundstrom too much there, because I keep looking and seeing that header, and it's absolutely fantastic. It really, really is, Gordon. As I said, player going the wrong way, to do that is just fantastic. So I'd rather speak about that than the defending of it. But either way, it's 3-0, and it's been a disappointing night for Rangers.
Yeah, maybe some sort of consolation in this. It wouldn't be unthinkable. They've done a lot better in the second half, but equally, you could see a fourth for Napoli.
Yeah, you could. They've got the quality there, but if they really want to go for it again for a fourth, but again, I feel at 2-0 they probably thought the game was done, and we might have only seen a reaction if Morelos had put that one in to make it 2-1.
Yeah, you could definitely look like if they needed to up it, they could. Yeah, they could have another few gears, and still a couple of good players on the bench that won't be featuring tonight as well. So
yeah, it'll be a dead rubber against Ajax at Ibrox, because it's going to finish, well, essentially a dead rubber. I mean,
no game's a dead rubber at Ibrox for Rangers though.
make you think
Champions League.
Yeah.
Players don't get away with think it's a dead rubber, nor will the management team.
And Simon, you're keeping me in check with my arithmetic. I mean, there's still I know before anyone's shouting at the radio, Rangers going to win it 5-0, then they would nip third. I can see that look in your face. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but you have to be arithmetically accurate.
Football is football
in this business.
I think that would be unlikely to happen, but yeah. As Marv says, the pressure's there. Whether it's a Celtic or a Rangers at Ibrox, you're expected to win.
Another change for Napoli. It's hard to keep up so many. I think this is the final one, isn't it?
Yeah.
De Lorenzo, the skipper's gone off. Zanoli is coming on. Mario Rui, the stand-in skipper, then for the last 5 minutes or so. You've not sensed a great urgency from Napoli across the second half at all. So certainly can't imagine they'll be changing that now. They know this match is won and won comfortably.
I think something that's not great for Rangers, bringing on these sorts of young players, this is their chance to shine. A couple of making their Champions League debuts as well. So,
yeah, luckily for Rangers, there's a bit of flat-footedness in the Napoli attack on that occasion. There was a sliding challenge that Scott Arfield felt was unfair, but the ref doesn't agree.
Yeah, Rangers they can't be conceding a fourth here.
Sakala's done well though, and he's got a bit of space to run into. He's been tracked and he's into
brilliant.
the box.
Well,
Fashion Sakala, he's going to get the shot away. It wasn't a convincing one.
No,
and it was blocked.
Caught between a
cross and a shot.
Yeah,
I think the block actually.
Neither.
I think the block did him some favours actually, didn't it?
I'm not sure that's going to
it sort of
a
covered
Rangers
up,
player.
It covered up where the ball was maybe eventually going to end up. But it was an encouraging break and maybe a bit of quality in that final third.
Their shape in general in the second half has been a lot better.
A lot better.
Yeah, they've been a lot more control, even out of possession. They've managed to show Napoli into a couple of traps and turn the ball over. So it looks a lot better drilled, kind of in this shape. And if it wasn't for a little bit of lack of quality from their big chances in the second half for the scores, that Lundstrom down, it's a booking.
Yeah, it is going to be a booking. Lundstrom says he's taken a sore one. There are wags of the finger from the Napoli players who disagree. Lundstrom still down, and remember Lundstrom will miss the Ajax match. That's right, isn't it? He's
I'm not sure there's too much contact there. Yeah, that's a booking, Gordon, that will mean he'll miss that match at Ibrox, and again it'll be a big miss when you've got players like Kamara unavailable at this moment in time.
Ryan Jack.
Yep, Ryan Jack, another one. Yeah,
Feels looking a bit
it's light, isn't it?
Light. For Rangers in there, you have to say. Maybe Kamara makes a comeback by then, but it would be a big ask, I think you'd have to say at this moment. Again, he's not in the squad tonight, is he?
No, he's not in the squad tonight.
He's been missing for quite a few games now. Tavernier's going to whip one in, back post. It's headed wide.
Unlucky.
I think it was
Colak
at the back post, heads it wide.
Very unlucky.
Could be one of his first touches of the game.
Gets up well, doesn't he?
And just wide.
See the difference in defending there, though, like we were saying, you're not always going to win, but being in and around the centre forward, puts him off a little bit, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Because if that's a free header for him, that's on target and probably in the back of the net. So that's kind of the difference that we're talking about.
Rangers still trying to finish by pressing high. They've got 5 players inside the Napoli sort of 22-yard area.
Keeper just chips it over.
Rugby speak almost, but but Rangers do win it back and then give it away. So
to be honest, that's what I would do. With the 5 players around the box, I would try to get away with the...
Oh, look at the pace down the right hand side. That's
fresh
one
legs.
over the top.
Incredible. Yilmaz just about gets back. It's into the box though, and I think that it's going to end up being a goal kick. Barisic does enough.
If you've got 5 players round, you would try to drop it into the midfield.
That's probably the plan, isn't it?
Take the 5 out of the game.
Yeah, no, exactly that. Because from a goal kick, if the goalkeeper's looking up, there's a lot more spaces to hit his attacking players when you've got 5 Rangers players at the edge of his box. So yeah, most definitely, if you can chip that ball over the top of it like you just tried to do there, that's what you'll be trying. But Rangers still trying to play through the thirds as well, still trying to get options on the ball.
Yeah, even a consolation, it wouldn't change anything, but it would just give a moment of positivity in a group that's not provided many at all. Rangers fans will feel like that Scott Arfield opener against Liverpool must feel like an eternity ago, when optimism was high that something could be done.
You look at the amount of effort that Rangers have kind of put into this game, and you look at Saturday's game. That is a massive game for them now, Gordon, because even watching this and seeing this, I think in the second half Rangers fans will say it's acceptable, but they'll be expecting something on Saturday. And if
Expect
you're
to
an
win.
Aberdeen, yeah, exactly.
Expect to win.
If you're an
Nothing
Aberdeen player
less.
watching this, you're thinking, right, they're over in Italy,
Yeah.
they've lost 3-0,
Yeah.
they put a lot into it, start fast, and if they go 1-0 up, you know, that's going to be a tall order to overturn for Rangers.
Or Rangers don't even get a good start because the fans will let them know as well. That's the other pressure that goes with playing with a club like that.
Oh yeah, because this has been it's been verging on acceptable, and it's been better, but it's not enough to
No.
cheer the fans up, is it?
No,
It
no.
can't
No,
be.
not at all.
Good defending, Yilmaz.
Yeah, great cover there.
Just to cover as Napoli went scampering through. And only 3 minutes added on, which I'm quite surprised at, because I feel like we've stopped every couple of minutes. There's been numerous substitutions, injuries, stoppages, delays, but 3 minutes added on, which I don't think Rangers fans will be too bothered about. If anything, it might be time here for another Napoli goal. Not with a delivery like that one. They're going to have to keep it alive because it didn't meet its initial target. And not
keeping possession, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're not really too bothered about. If they get an opportunity, obviously they'll try and put it in the box, but
No, we
Fell asleep.
spoke about the focus,
Zerban.
the urgency from
He's
Napoli.
he's been quite proactive since he came on, but just got that one all wrong.
Yeah, Zerban, it came to him and just very easily let it roll out under his foot. And I don't know, we'll find out. I don't think it's one that Rangers fans are too bothered about now. It's just Cholak gives that one away. But the group winner, I guess, will be decided in a head-to-head between Liverpool and Napoli. Napoli already have a sizable advantage.
Yeah.
Liverpool would need to beat them convincingly.
be 4-0 they would need.
Yeah. So, tough.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the point?
What was the score in the first game?
4-1, I think, was it?
4-1, yeah. So that's a 3-goal swing.
I mean, I guess you would rather top the group and not, but if you're Liverpool, you're not going to go all out to try and win it. Does it matter that much?
Depending how, I'm not sure how it works the next round. Do you already know who you'll be facing, the runners-up or winner of?
Well, you wouldn't
group-wise?
hold
no.
on Napoli through and screw it wide.
Or is there a draw? Is it seeded? And
You could have a rough idea, but no, you wouldn't.
you wouldn't,
sort of-
yeah, specifically no.
Especially
okay.
with the way the games are getting played on that night as well.
Yeah.
I think they just look to get through these teams now. Yeah, they just look to be in that top two and get into the knockout stages.
Because there've been examples in the past where you think
I
you're
know,
doing the
when
right
you
thing,
try-
top of the
yeah.
group, but you get a
Somebody
Yeah,
struggles,
a sort of stronger
so-called
team.
giant
Yeah.
struggles.
Yeah. But again, for confidence, is it a good thing? We've gone through
To win the group?
Yeah, to win the group when you've
Yeah.
got Liverpool in there.
Listen, I think they've got the group one. I don't think Liverpool can turn that, can they?
Yeah, no, I don't think they're firing on all cylinders, Liverpool, to be honest.
Yeah, you're only winning 3-0 away at Ajax and 7 in. They've scored 10 in Glasgow
No.
and Amsterdam.
They're stuttering.
Look at them in the league. Where are they? Like mid-table? 7th, 8th?
Listen to the Arsenal fan
Yeah.
getting all cocky because for the first time in goodness knows how long.
Gordon, let me enjoy it, please,
Top.
and stop speaking about English football. You know you get in trouble for
That's
that, mate.
true. Yeah, it's like a full 5 seconds we spent on it there.
That's it, isn't it?
And Spurs have gone in front. Sorry.
Oh, wow,
In the
look, you're at
Champions
it
League.
again.
In the Champions League. Come on, it's a Champions League night.
Hope it's Son for my
It
dream
has
team.
finished in Naples. Rangers fans, pick up the phone. What did you make of that? Gabriel's going to give us the eyewitness stuff.
Full time here in Italy. It's Napoli 3, Rangers 0. Giovanni Simeone's early brace took the game away from Giovanni Van Bronckhorst's team, who were improved in the second half, before a late header from Leo Ostergaard sealed the win. A poor start and poor defending costing the Gers. It fell apart in the 11th minute. The ball was lifted into Simeone. Somehow he was free in between the two centre-halves, took a touch and a great finish on the swivel. Nothing Alan Gray could do in the goal. And 5 minutes later, Simeone got a second. He was in between the centre-halves again. A lovely diving header after a fantastic ball from left-back Mario Rui put it right on the Argentine's head. It was exactly what Rangers didn't want. It was what they didn't need, and it looked like it could be a cricket score. Tanguy Ndombele rattled the bar. Giacomo Raspadori had 2 decent efforts as well, and Rangers had very little before the interval. At half-time, Van Bronckhorst swapped to a back 5 as James Sand came into defence. It was a slower-paced second half, but Rangers definitely improved with their shape and their desire. Napoli had taken their foot off the gas, but they were still creating chances and in control of the game. Raspadori forced a big save from McGregor and later bent one over the bar. Then the Gers came into it a bit more. Morelos had a chance at the far post, 5 yards out, but it was blocked and went out for another corner kick, and then was the best chance of the game. Yilmaz put a great ball across. Morelos arriving in the centre of the goal, somehow completely missed the ball. He had to score, and that one will haunt him no Champions League goal for the Colombian. And for those 15 minutes, it looked like Rangers could compete at this level, but a late header from Leo Ostergaard sealed the 3 points for the Neapolitans. He rose above Lundstrom at an in-swinging corner, brilliantly headed in at the far post. That goal was a little bit harsh in terms of the second half, although Simeone should have had his hat-trick right at the death. There's no doubt Rangers got better and they can be satisfied with their second half performance. This could have been a really tough night and the margin of defeat was smaller than many feared. However, it is another poor result, and a second-string Napoli could have won by more if they did push harder for it. Rangers stay on 0 points after 5 games, and after another heavy loss, the pressure has turned up another notch on Van Bronckhorst in the dugout. Full time here at the Stadio Diego Armando Maradona. It is Napoli 3, Rangers 0.
Now it's over to you, Rangers fans. This is the reason we stay on late on these big Champions League nights, because we know you need somewhere to vent your frustrations. On another night you would be hoping, of course, to come on and celebrate the good stuff, but it's been another tough evening. As Gabriel says, maybe not even quite as bad as some people feared, a 3-0 defeat on the night. But what did you make of it? What did you make of the performance tonight? What do you make of the campaign overall? It's still very sporadic in terms of who plays and starts games and then changes are made. Did you see anything tonight that gives you a bit more hope going forward? Get all your thoughts in, please, right now on 01419511025. Whilst the calls come in, Marvin, how would you sum it up?
A game of two halves, really was. I think in the first half, Rangers struggled. I think they conceded 2 extremely soft goals that, you can't afford to concede at any level of football, let alone in the Champions League. I think the change of shape, and credit must go to the manager for that in the second half. I think it helped them a lot. I think they got into the game. They created a massive chance that on any other day they would have taken. But, listen, the third goal for me was absolutely fantastic from Napoli. Yes, John Lundstrom should have been a lot closer to his man. He shouldn't have got sucked underneath the ball. But it's a fantastic header. And it just shows, at this level of football, it's cutthroat. And if you don't take your chances, the better teams are going to punish you. And that happened tonight. Tough one to sum up. The Rangers fans will do it best, Simon. We can just make a bit of a stab at it first, where that wasn't that bad. The performance wasn't terrible, and the result could have been worse. But I mean, ultimately, it's still a 3-0 defeat. It's still bottom of the group.
It's still 3-0. But I was looking at the table there. Ajax have been beaten at 3-0 at home against Liverpool. It does happen. It's away from home. Funnily enough, I do not think that will affect Rangers fans tonight too much, that result. I might be wrong with the callers calling in. I think it's a big game at the weekend now for Rangers. I think they draw a line under this. Obviously they've still got the Ajax game to go, but as I say, speaking to Rangers fans before this game, I think they really feared the worst in terms of a 5, a 6, a 7, an embarrassing one. It's not happened. They've got a bit of a reaction in the second half. They changed the shape. The 2 goals, bad defending to give away early on, but it could have been worse. So it'll be interesting to see how the callers take on it.
Don't let them down. Come on then. What did you make of it, Rangers fans? 01419511025. Give us a call right now and we'll try and get you on next.
Clyde One's Super Scoreboard Podcast with Taggart's Volvo, part of the Lookers family. Be ready for any journey. Book now for service and repairs. It's Napoli versus Rangers. The Old Firm in Europe's big league. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Simon Donnelly and Marvin Barltey are here for the next hour, getting your take, Rangers fans, on what happened tonight, how you sum up this group as a whole, where your team are at in general, because you've gone now to a massive game against Aberdeen at the weekend. So let's hear from as many of you as possible. 01419511025. Mike is in Edinburgh. Sum up how you feel tonight, Mike.
Hey, hi Gordon. I phoned after the last Napoli game, and it just seems like it's deja vu. I'm just absolutely fed up with the club. There's something rotten at the club, and it's transferring on the performances on the pitch. I think Marvin had a point. There's no game plan. Giovanni just sits on the sidelines, no reaction at all. He just doesn't change anything, and the signings need to be questioned. I think enough's enough. I think Gio needs to go, and possibly looking at maybe a manager from Norway and Knutsen.
Let me ask you, Mike, how much are you basing on sort of other games and not necessarily tonight? Because he actually did change something tonight, and he went to a back five, and they looked better. And let's be honest, people would expect Napoli to beat Rangers by a couple of goals, 3-0. Is this about more than tonight?
It's just the application, Gordon. It's just been going on for too many weeks. Far too many weeks now. I can probably rattle off a couple of games this season where we've been half decent. PSV away, Hearts away. That's about it. I mean, we got beat by Union Saint-Gilloise first game of the season, and yeah, we turned it around at Ibrox, but there's just too many insipid performances. As Marvin rightly pointed out, there's just no game plan at all. The players are not playing for him. He just simply can't motivate. I mean, Ryan Kent, he looks like a player that's playing. He looks like a third division tier player. There's just no hunger, no passion there. I mean, Morelos is overweight. There's just something wrong at the club, Gordon. There's something rotten at the club. I mean, Gerrard had an identity, and so did Mark Warburton. I mean, Giovanni, he tweaked it last season. I mean, got in the Europa League final. He needs to take the plaudits for that. But this is his style now, Gordon, and it's transferring onto the pitch. And there's, as Marvin said, there's no game plan. There's no identity. I mean, we don't even know what. There's just. I mean, that 1-0 draw against Livingston on Saturday, that was just completely and utterly unacceptable. There's just no reaction from him on the sidelines. I mean, I don't know what your panel think.
Yeah, we said this before, Simon, and it's especially true tonight. If you're in the sparkling domestic form, and you're beating everyone in front of you, and you go and lose 3-0 to one of the best teams in Europe, you can stomach that.
Yeah.
Fans like Mike, though, it's a big picture that they're annoyed at right now.
Which is fair enough. Mike makes some good points here. I do feel whether there's something wrong at the club, there's a lack of. I mean, he touched on Kent there, and many times did we mention it during that game there. When he loses the ball, there's not a reaction to go and a hunger to go and get it back. I've watched a lot of Kent this season, and it probably is a reflection on Rangers. They've got by in games recently. The terrible result against Liverpool, they got by against Motherwell. Now you go to third party 3 points, you're not complaining, but Rangers fans, I'm guessing, want a bit of style, go and win the game, a bit of form. Then they struggle against Dundee, and as I say, I fancied Livy to go and get something at the game at the weekend, and Aberdeen will come to Ibrox on Saturday and fancy something. But it's a build up of stuff. I said it in the commentary there, Morelos still not fit, and we're in October, so yeah, there is questions to be asked.
I think, Marvin, from having sat in the middle between fans who phone in and you football types many times over the years, the biggest sort of difference in mindset between those two parties, we always get fans phoning in and saying the players aren't trying, and we always get professionals saying players don't not try. What is it then? Because I guarantee you Mike's not going to be the only fan who makes this point tonight. I guarantee you. Are the Rangers players trying? And if they are, but it doesn't look like they are, then what's going on?
They are 100% trying. I wouldn't think there's any professional footballer out there who goes into games and doesn't try, especially at this level of football and a club that size. I think tactically they were found wanting in the first half. I think they couldn't get close to the Napoli players. I don't think they could deal with the rotations. I think they made basic errors. When you don't do the basic things well, you're never going to win games at this level. So I wouldn't say it's a lack of effort, but you need more than effort at this level.
Are there not times though when it's actually tactics go out the window and you, as whoever it is, I don't care if it's Ryan Kent or whoever, you're a couple of yards away from another guy, fans just want you to bust their gut and get there? Can that not happen more? No,
100%. And that's one thing we said in the first half. We looked at their goals, etc., etc. But when you give the ball away, that's a mentality thing. That's not on the manager. That's not on anybody else but the individual. That's a mentality thing. You give it away, get the ball back. Your first reaction should be to get the ball back, not to look around and say who's going to get the ball back for me, especially when you're playing at this level, and especially you're playing for a club of that size. So I agree with that. That's down to the individuals. There's nothing the manager can do in terms of that. That's down to the specific individuals. But if you're a manager and you keep playing individuals that it seems that are not giving absolutely everything both on and off the ball, then again, I suppose it falls on the manager, doesn't it? But as a professional player, that shouldn't happen. But at times, you do see that.
I mean, Napoli are flying at the moment, Mike. They really are brilliant. But you still feel Rangers should have done more?
No, I think Napoli probably one of the contenders for winning the season, Gordon, because they turned over Liverpool in their own backyard. Well, in Italy, really performing, really impressive. I think they've won like 12 games to bounce. I mean, Napoli probably could stuck a third team out tonight and still beat Rangers. I just think the problem is Giovanni. The problem starts at the top. It's Douglas Park. I mean, you never see him in the media. Ross Wilson, you've got to question his recruitment. I could probably name 3 or 4 players that have been under his tenure has been decent. He's signed about 10, 15 players that have been absolutely dreadful. I mean, we've got a guy called Offabor. He's had a heart problem from last season, and we've never seen him. And you've also got Malak Tillman. He's flattest to deceive. He's had one good game this season, where obviously we beat Union Saint-Gilloise. But his recruitment's got to be questioned. I mean, and he's got to take some responsibility. And instead of leaving Gio to take the flak in the press, Ross Wilson needs to come out and find out what's going on with the club. I mean, I've never seen such a fall from grace in all my life. I mean, the Rangers fans are just absolutely fed up, Gordon. Obviously with you being a Motherwell fan, I'm sure, they've had their ups and downs as well. But when you've got a couple of Rangers, there's an expectation, and to even try, you've got to be a special player to play for Rangers, and you play for the shit, and especially, even like Celtic as well. Simon played for Celtic, but when there's a lack, I think there's been a lack of application from the players. They've just chucked it, and to me, I think there needs to be a change of management. And there's that guy, obviously Bodo, wouldn't play, be interested or not, but that's not a level of ambition that Rangers should be looking at, because they beat Jose Mourinho's Roma 6-1. So I just think, I think you'll get other callers tonight where they'll obviously be calling for Gio said there's just a lack of reaction on the sidelines, Gordon, when goals are going left, right and centre. We're conceding too many goals from cross balls, James Sands giving the ball away, and I mean, I was just reading the report tonight that there's no midfield, we're getting overrun in midfield, and John Lundstrom, there's been an absolute dip in form from him. There's no players that you can actually take past marks.
Yeah, fans can't and won't. Nonetheless, they shouldn't necessarily separate this, Simon. You can see how quickly you're going from talking about defending a specific set piece or a cross ball tonight, straight to Douglas Park, straight to Ross Wilson, because that's the scale of the. It's
a build-up of frustration.
The frustration.
You can hear it, Mike. There. That's why I said earlier on, I don't think tonight's result or performance necessarily changes anything with Rangers fans from before a ball was kicked. I think the only thing maybe will be relief that it wasn't another 6 or 7. The big one for Rangers now is Saturday, but you can hear it in Mike's voice there, the frustration. They're flat. They've been getting by in the league. They beat Dundee 1-0 in the quarter final to get into the semi-finals, which they're meeting Aberdeen again. They're flat. They are flat, and I'm just watching the replays there with Morelos again. He's unlucky with the one that got blocked, but the other one, he should be getting shot away, and I think that boils down to being not 100% lean, fit, ready for action.
And then if the bit that allows you to quickly transition towards questions about recruitment, board members, whatever, is probably, it's summed up in certain areas of the pitch. We spoke about it during the game. Scott Wright started against Ajax, 45 minutes on the clock, half time hooked. 10 games later, he's not started apart from a game against Dundee in the League Cup. Then he starts again tonight. For what? Based on what? And then Sakala replaces him and looks quite bright. But the Rangers fans are already making jokes on Twitter saying that means Sakala will be in the bench for the next 3 games, because then Matondo will then come, and then they play your Levy team, and actually it's Arfield that operates in that area. Why is that? Because there's no standout option. Why is that? Because the recruitment in that area has not been up to scratch, presumably. Yeah,
but also I think, I always say this, that attacking players are confidence players more than anybody else on the pitch, so they need to run the games and they need opportunities. You can't say if someone has a bad 45 minutes and then they suddenly come out of the team for 3 or 4 weeks. The thing that surprised me with Scott Wright starting today is that against us at the weekend they used 3 right midfielders, 3 right wingers, and he wasn't one of them.
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden he starts today's game, so you're totally right. Players don't seem to know if they're coming or going, and as an attacking player, and Simon will be able to tell you more than I can, you need that run of form. You need to get kind of your eye in, and at this moment in time it's not happening, and the boy's confidence is going to be extremely low, because again he plays the first 45 minutes today, doesn't offer anything for me, And, I just think they got the shape wrong. And I'm not saying that with hindsight. I said that before the game. I just don't think that, playing a back four today and the way they set up helped them at all.
All right, thank you, Mike. You make some passionate points. I think everyone can hear your frustration. What about Liam and Shots? How do you feel?
Hiya, panel. I'm just calling. Gio's been in charge now for about a year, and I'm watching tonight's game, and I've watched numerous games over the season, and I just don't understand what his tactic is. It was obviously meant to bring everybody who's excited about this Dutch way of playing, and it's just hopeless at times. Obviously, credit to Napoli, they're sort of a class team, but you would expect a wee bit better, and the shape's just, I don't even know where it's going, and what's the best formation, what's the best players. As you were saying, Scott Wright comes in, plays decent, a few games dropped. Shakhtar has a nice couple of games, but as it's saying, we'll probably get dropped on Saturday against Aberdeen. It's just, I don't know where it's going anymore, and I don't know sort of how long it has got left.
It's an interesting question, Simon, because I've seen it now so many times, and it's getting to the awkward point where Giovanni Van Bronckhorst has been asked about it regularly. If I was to ask you, having played the game, having coached and watched a lot punditry as a fan, describe to me Rangers' style of play.
It'd be difficult to give you a style of play. I would.
And is that the issue then for fans like Liam?
There's no energy in it. There's no. I think Cholak has possibly dug them out a hole in terms of getting on the end of things and scoring. I think he's got off to the best start. I think it was since Negri, goals wise, but there's no real. It doesn't to me look like there's any game plan. It looks as if it from game to game. I don't see a lot of Rangers as much as the fans that are calling in see. But when I watch them, like the last few games I've spoke about, they're lethargic. They look as if they've got no confidence. And I keep going back to the guys maybe that played in my position, like a Ryan Kent, who when he first came on the scene at Rangers, excitement, the Rangers fans will know better, excitement, creativity. But I've spoke about it for about 6 months about what he actually brings in terms of assists and goals. He wants to go back all the time. That's a player to me that's got no confidence at all. Then you look at the recruitment. Now Yilmaz tonight, we spoke about it in commentary, he actually looks a decent footballer in possession. Yes, he was under pressure in the first parts of the game. Out with that, there's not really been anything came in. It sounds simple, but Aribo and Bassey have not been replaced. And you look back to Celtic the year before, when their recruitment was questioned before Ange Postecoglou came in. That's what Rangers are finding just now. The guys that are coming in here are not lifting the guys that are there. And it's went backward. From a team that were in the Europa League final, they've went backward.
Rangers have better players than most teams in Scotland, so they will win more games than they don't. Marvin, that won't change just because they're out of form. But what's the style? What's the aim? Do you know what type of performance you expect to see when you watch a Rangers game?
They seem to be at the moment that they're a team of maybe individuals, and they're expecting the big players to turn up and do something magical. Whether that's a Tavernier free kick or Ryan Kent doing something, or Tillman or Cholak at the top end. As Simon says, they don't seem to be a team that kind of what their style of players are. They high intensity? Are they pressing high? Are they a counter attacking team? Are they trying to play through the lines? Just on the Ryan Kent one there, I think he's struggled a little bit more this season because I think Barisic, as I said earlier, is playing a more supportive role. I think Yilmaz was recruited with the right intentions, because what we've seen of him today, he's a flying machine and he's willing to go around the winger. Ryan Kent needs that. At times he had Bassey doing that before. He looked a lot better with Bassey going around him and him being able to cut inside. I think if you give Ryan Kent the ball, people can double up on him if you're just going to support him. So listen, I think Yilmaz needs to come in and play now, but the players also have to take responsibility for this, by the way. But the manager, I think his tactics are going to be called into question now, and it's a big couple of weeks coming up for him before the World Cup.
I mean, Liam, you heard it all though before the game. You can't be expected to beat Napoli. You sort of, I'm not saying you accept a 3-0 defeat, but people were fearing the worst. You're not able to just take this one on the chin and move on. You still think that tonight is part of a bigger problem?
To be fair, if you sort of had to offer me at the start when the group got drawn, say Sunday you get beat 2-0 away from home against Liverpool, and then you get beat 3-0 at Napoli. But considering the sort of results and recently and the way it's just going downhill, like they're talking about Cholak scoring bags loads of goals, but how many sort of chances do we get a game? Like clear cut. Obviously no disrespect to Livingston on Saturday, but think we had like no shots on target in the first 45 minutes at home against Livingston. It's just not acceptable. And sort of playing players out of position as well is not going to help. Oh, let's credit to Scott Arfield, but he's not a right winger. He's not. He never has been, and never will be. It's the same when we went to Parkhead and he played Tillman out on the right. He's got players on the bench that can play on the wing, and he just chooses not to. And then that goes back to the question: does he know his best team, and does he know what tactic he actually wants to play? Because fair enough, you play Cholak up front. He's not a pressing sort of striker. He's a sort of hops in the box, and he's going to grab you 10, 20 goals a season from in the box.
So what then? I mean, you say you're critical of or you don't know. You genuinely don't know what the style of play is. And by the way, the guys agree with you. What does that mean? You mean that you've lost all faith in the manager, or you think that there's still, dig in, grind this out till the World Cup, get some players back? You still got a bit of faith, or is it gone?
I don't know if it's lost faith. It's just I don't know if he knows. I don't know if he's lost faith in himself. Obviously, fair play for what we done last season in Europe. We sort of had that we could see last season in Europe. We sort of stuck to a game plan, went away from home, digged in, got a result, even if it's a 1-0 away from home. But this season it just looks like they've just all gave up, and Gio's it's not the same sort of team as last season. Obviously they lost Bassey and Aribo, but two players don't make a full team. If you look at the sort of team that finished last season compared to this season, it's pretty much identical. And it's just I don't know where it's going, and it's just worrying that it's going to probably get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, everyone knows this is a step up, but Rangers were Europa League finalists.
I know what Liam's saying there, that 2-3 players don't make a team, but see, from a Celtic perspective, I always thought Aribo was a danger. Always thought he was a danger. At final third, he could take somebody out the equation, score a goal. His form was brilliant for that first part of the season. Bassey was excellent for them. He got his move to Ajax. They were two big players in that season. Morelos, alright, we're talking about Morelos from a year, 2 years ago. Think about the goals he's battled in. He's always a handful. A mobile, fit Morelos. You take those three out your team. The guys that have come in, out with Cholak, who scored a few goals but is a different type of player to Morelos, the rest haven't really added anything. So for me, it's weakened the Rangers team for last year.
It's not even about them making the team or those three being the main players. You have to worry about them also. So when you go into playing against Rangers and you're worried about 7, 8, 9 players instead of 2 or 3 players, it's a lot harder to get tight to them. It's a lot harder to know where to show them. But now, as I said, I keep referring to Kent, you can double up on Kent a lot easier now because not a lot going on the other side, because you've got an Arfield playing out there, you've got a Tillman playing out of position who just come in narrow. You've got James Tavernier under Gerrard was constantly going wide and putting balls in the box, now coming to hold a midfield area. You're taking away the biggest part of his game attacking wise. Tavernier needs to be wide, needs to be fed the ball, needs to be crossing the ball from dangerous areas. When he's crossing the ball now, it's for me 10, 20 yards too deep, and it makes it so much easier to defend.
Thank you, Liam. A bit of frustration out there, Rangers fans. Anyone else feeling a bit more, what's the expression, anyone else willing to almost just park tonight, move on, forget about that, or does it just feed into the overall frustration of the season? Let us know. 01419511025 will get you on next.
It's Napoli versus Rangers. The Old Firm in Europe's big league. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Marvin Barltey and Simon Donnelly are here. We're looking over Rangers' defeats in Naples. It was 3-0 on the night. Arithmetically, third place is still possible and a drop into the Europa League, but that's going to take quite an evening against Ajax at Ibrox in the next match day. We will be bringing you the thoughts of Giovanni van Bronckhorst very soon, so stay tuned for them. I know the way it is, Rangers fans, I know some of you don't enjoy hearing the explanations at the moment, but it's clearly important that we find out the thoughts from inside that Rangers dressing room. Let's go to Gary in Thornley Bank first. Gary, how do you sum up your feelings tonight?
How are you doing, Gordon, Marvin, Simon?
Good, thank you.
Listen, for me, I've been one of the ones who's been willing to give Gio a bit of time, but for me, that's that now. Tonight, the selection alone, even before the game started, that for me was a selection of a manager who knew he wasn't getting anything from that game. That was a kind of League Cup selection for me. That was just giving players game time. He knew that he was getting nothing from that game for me.
So who in particular do you mean? Because Yilmaz doesn't usually play did tonight. Morelos doesn't usually play, did tonight. Scott Wright doesn't usually play, did tonight. Are those the ones you mean?
Yeah, those in particular are the ones I mean. Obviously, as a lot of the fans have said, this has been going on for, this has been coming for weeks now. The performances in general just haven't been good. You can't go scraping wins the whole season. It's going to catch up with you eventually, and it has done. The game against Livingston especially showed that for me. I think on the right side in particular is a big problem, as in the winger, because we don't have someone who is, good enough to hold down a regular place for me there. Scott Wright, on his day, can be good. Matundo, he's a hot and cold one. There's no one for me that really stands out as like I'm going to nail this place down.
The thing that was probably concerning about that, Gary, is I think I've been getting calls on here making that exact point for about 4 or 5 years. When was the last regular right-sided consistent performer Rangers had?
I couldn't even tell you. I mean, maybe Hadji when he was fit. He was. Again, he was one who was excellent on his day. But again, he's one who could go cold sometimes. I honestly couldn't tell you the last excellent right winger that we had.
Yeah, because even at that, Marvin, he's a central player but I'm not saying that didn't sometimes work. Aribo was successful at it.
Yeah. I'm
talking about the consistent, natural right-sided, even just option. And it's genuinely, I think you have to go back ages to think about that one. I mean, Daniel Candeas, when they were sort of trying to get back to winning things, I don't know if that counts.
Yeah, no, it's definitely been a long time, and I think in terms of recruitment, they've tried to recruit right wingers. Obviously, Wright, Sakala, Matondo, to speak of three, and I think they've just struggled to get it right. To be fair to Matondo, he's a young man in his kind of first season at the club. I think he will go on to be a really good player. I think he's shown flashes of what he could be about. But I think the difficulty is when you have an out-and-out right winger in front of James Tavernier, it stifles his play. I really, really do think that. I think you need an inverted winger on that side, and at this moment in time they don't have it. Even like you said, when Hadji goes out there, or a Tillman or an Arfield, there's not that balance, is there, of someone really driving inside and really driving at defenders. So I think that's an area that they'll try and look to either sign in January or maybe the end of the season.
The list of Simon's massive. So even, and I'm talking just the last couple of weeks, last couple of games. Obviously Sakala finished the match there tonight.
Yeah.
Scott Wright started it. It was Scott Arfield at the weekend. Matondo, Tillman's played there. Anyone else this season? That just about cover it. And then obviously last season Aribo would do it. Amad Diallo, remember him? That was supposed to be one of the solutions to the right side. As Gary mentions, Yanis Hadji's gone there. That's in the last just over half a season. You're talking like maybe eight different players have operated in that.
It just goes back to what we're discussing. There doesn't seem to be a plan put in place for recruitment. You mentioned Aribo there. He would probably been the ideal one that Marv's talking about, coming inside to allow the space for Tavernier going up the wing. But there's no real. Matondo's a young kid. Nobody has taken the bull by the horns in that position for Rangers. And Gary will not thank me for comparing across the road, but you look at the guys across the road that Postecoglou is changing, but you know where they're playing. Maeda and Jota are playing on that width. They've got Forrest, they've got Haksabanovic, they've got Jota to play another width. They've got two guys in it. You always know when the Celtic team comes out, you can virtually tell where everybody's playing. Tonight that team comes out and we're kind of scratching our heads in here. Is it a back three? Is it a 4-2-3-1? How are they going to shape up here?
Doesn't that scream a change of shape needed at Rangers then? Doesn't it mean that if you don't have a right winger, then you go to like a 3-4-3 and possibly you have Tavernier down one side with somebody slightly lopsided, and then you can have Yilmaz down the other side and you have Kent in front of him. I think the way they went in the second half is the way they need to go.
Possibly, but again you still keep reverting back to recruitment. We're scratching our heads because a lot of the fans that phoned in before the game are talking about Tavernier being left out, but there's no real. The kids, the boy Divine, they're asking for him, but there's nobody else there challenging him.
Just so that my list is accurate, did Aaron Ramsey ever play off that side in any of the games? think he maybe did, you know.
Yeah. I think he did.
You can go back to guys like Brandon Barker had the odd night in Europe. It's been a long list. Thank you, Gary. Let's go to Springburn and check in with Billy and see how he feels about things. Billy, what in particular stood out for you tonight?
Well, basically what stood out again is why Kent's still in the park and still getting a Rangers jersey, because he brings nothing to the team, brings nothing to the table, quite honestly. He doesn't shoot forward, he never beats a man, he cuts back, he loses the ball, he can't pass the ball 5 yards. I just don't know what Gio Priestley sees him, quite honestly.
Who should take his place?
Well, anybody who puts a shirt in, quite honestly, could take his place, because my point is, he's no Guineas a shirt. To me, he's lacklustre. He gives the ball to the left back and lets him cross the ball. Every time he gets the ball, he checks back in, lays the ball back. He's a winger, he does nothing. Doesn't beat a man. So why is he actually on the park, quite honestly? I mean, he's not kicked a ball all season, quite honestly. So it's not just a one game. Every week, I mean, he doesn't beat a man. Doesn't look like he's interested. I think he scored one goal against Hearts. I think it was about 92nd minute or something like that. I mean, but he's done nothing all season, and Gio keeps picking him. But I don't think Gio actually knows what his best team is anyway, quite honestly.
Well, there we are. Back to that, Simon, because Billy just said just put anyone else in. But is there, even if Ryan Kent is underwhelming, Billy, who's really chomping at the bit better to say that he's definitely the one that can get in and take the place?
The frustration with Ryan Kent is it's there, and I think, I don't know, does Gio see it in training? I know you get players that can do it in training and think, right, this will be the game. I think Ryan himself has to find something to trigger his form. Billy's right, he does play safe. For me, the last few games I've seen, Marv makes a good point. Yilmaz's playing at the back. Does that give him that extra bit of support moving forward? Does that distract players? You know, at times Kent picks the ball up and there's maybe 3-4 players around him, usually on a Saturday afternoon. But he can only find that himself, and I think that might be the frustration. I might be completely wrong, but there's nobody for me on form better than him at Rangers in that position. But I agree with Billy, he's not produced it for a while.
Marvin, there was a great article, I'm sure many people have seen it, in The Athletic this week, where the reporter spent the week with your team, with Livy. He was allowed in the dressing room before the game at Ibrox at half time, and so there was a good insight, and it seemed that your game plan, it was written on your board. Ryan Kent, do not let him cut inside. That's what it said on your board at Ibrox on Saturday. Just explain that to us. You feel like that as long as you can do that against him at the moment, you negate his threat?
Well, not just him, but that is a tactic against any inverted winger. The last thing you want to do, which you saw Yilmaz do time after time today, is let an inverted winger inside onto his strongest foot. So he knew if we let Ryan Kent go down the line, he's crossing on his weaker foot, but two, the defenders behind them were set to defend. You know, there's nothing worse as a defender when you don't know where the winger's going to go, whether he's going to go down the line, whether he's going to go inside. Because if he goes inside, his crossing angle's a lot different to going down the line. So our fullbacks, you know, from day one has been show people down the line, and we deal with it after that. So yeah, that's what we want to do. We knew, without being disrespectful, Barisic isn't going to go around him too often. We knew they were going to set it back, and then again we're set in our positions to head the ball away. So yeah, that was a massive one for us going into that game. Ryan Kent does not come inside under any circumstances.
So how much of this do you hold against Ryan Kent for not performing, Billy, and how much do you hold against the manager for picking him?
I picked him. Well, definitely doing it to the manager, because then the manager puts him on the park. You're not doing your job like any other job. Usually you either get moved on or you don't get played in the football team. You know what I mean? And there's other players there champing a bit to play. I mean, when anybody, you can tighten up the midfield and you can play them, it'd be better than playing them quite honestly, because he brings in.
Who though? Who are they? Who do you think's a better bet than Kent right now?
That's why I play Sakala. I know you put him out in the left. I mean, quite honestly, he's not the greatest player in the world, but I mean, when he'll give you a shirt, Kent will give you nothing. He's got all the skill in the world, granted, but he's not doing it. And if he's not doing it, he should be on the park. It's simple as that. Yeah. I think Gio, I know, he didn't know his best at 11. Quite honestly, to me, Gio's on borrowed time. If we ever got to go against Livingston in the weekend, he should have been away anyway. I think he should have been away well before now anyway.
So you don't think tonight makes it? Tonight doesn't change anything that much? Is that what you're saying? Because you wouldn't have expected to win it anyway. You think the damage was done before that?
A defeat's a defeat. Whether it's 5 or 3, it doesn't make a difference. It took Morelos off, and to me, Morelos was the only guy who was going to score the goal. I mean, I know cut in a couple of times of deflection, but Morelos is always a goal in him, and Zook came off.
I don't know though, because he missed a sitter, Billy, didn't he, when his big chance came along?
100% he missed, but I think he's there. I mean, he's in the position. I mean,
It just seems like you go through everyone, really, couldn't you, at the moment?
Yeah.
I actually thought Ryan Kent was okay in the second half.
Yeah.
There we go. After all that.
No, I actually did. I thought
there was
better
bits in the first
position.
half as well. I think we talk about positivity and going forward. There was little bits. He linked up with Yilmaz. He didn't quite get the pass right, but Yilmaz dug it out for a good cross for the Morelos chance. Tonight's maybe not the ideal game where you're not backs to the wall, but you're doing a lot of defending against a strong Napoli team away from home. But games like Saturday are where you need him to go and open up things against Aberdeen and create things and get the team lifted.
Yeah,
that's where you're looking for him to go and do the damage.
Just because someone's keeping us right, I think it's Scott Cathro sent in to say, just for your list, Kamar Roof's played off the right a few times. There we go.
There you go, another name.
I'll add him there. What was the one game? There was one recently where Ryan Kent sat it out from the start. It was, it'll come to me in a minute, or I'll check it, or someone will remind me. But by and large, there's clearly not a level of faith there. I mean, Billy says he would play Sakala. Can you really envisage I
don't think Sakala's.
Or many times we know Sakala
on
one
that
side,
left-hand
Matondo
side.
the other.
Sakala's all about pace. It's all about playing on maybe that right-hand side, or he's played through the middle. He got a great couple of chances at Celtic Park last year through the middle. He's all about pace. I wouldn't say he's the cleverest player to work his way in the park and play off people.
Rather than Matondo out there, it was St Mirren, wasn't it, that they played? Kent didn't play. It was a 4-0 game because
it was.
Sakala was right and Matondo. I think you're more likely to see him down the left, but again, you shouldn't be looking for ways to get other people in. Ryan Kent should be, doing what the Rangers fans expect of him, what he has the ability to do.
And it's easy to think tonight, because tonight's a great example of it, where Sakala did look bright when he came on and he makes an impact. But what then often happens, and you can't forget this, is he then maybe does get the nod to start the next one, and then it's a bit underwhelming and he comes off. Is that back to what you, or even worse, he then somehow doesn't get the nod after a positive sub appearance? Is that what you said about, as much as the pressure's on, just trying to give some players a run in the team and get some consistency?
You need to do that, because very rarely can you bring a player in for one game out of every 5 or 6 and they're gonna set the world alight. It doesn't happen. I think as a manager you have to kind of have your best 11 in your head, and then out with people underperforming for a period of time and then changing it up. You need to be able to stick to that if they're fit. I don't think at this moment in time Gio knows what his starting 11 is, the players that are fit, and that's a massive worry, because as I said, you can't keep going through games. And a caller said earlier on, the last time he was impressed with them, I think it was against Hearts. They've obviously had the 4-0 against St Mirren, but that was 6 or 7 games ago.
Yeah.
You can't be playing for Rangers Football Club, and the last time you had an acceptable performance was 6 games ago. Something's not right there.
Yeah, I think Hearts was 8 games ago and St Mirren 6. You're right. So thank you, Billy. 01419511025. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst is coming up next.
It's Napoli versus Rangers. The Old Firm in Europe's big league. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Into the final part of tonight's Clyde One Super Scoreboard. Rangers fans, how do you feel about this explanation from your manager? Here's what he had to say about the defeat in Naples.
You have to start well in an environment like we face today. I think the 2 goals we conceded in 50 minutes where, in both occasions we were 2 against 1 in the center against 1 striker. Because of the smart movements, they could have scored, they could score 2 times. That's, for us to give those kind of goals in Champions League, it's too easy. I think the reaction we showed afterwards was very positive. We had a big moment to score 2-1 just before half time. And I think especially in the second hour we showed character. We were very well organized. We didn't give any big chances away and tried to push for the goal, which we created some big moments. But if you don't take those moments in these kind of games, then of course it's difficult to win. And then in the end we conceded a corner kick. But I think the team showed character second half, and we're trying to get something out of the game, but in the end we didn't. You can't imagine the opponents we are facing at this moment in this group. We think about our performances, of course, but we have to be realistic and see what kind of opponents we are playing against. That's always the case when you're in Champions League, and the level we are facing at the moment in this group is immense. If you look at the results elsewhere, big teams, Juventus, Barcelona, they don't even qualify for the Champions League. So that's all I can say. It's the level we face at the moment. It's very high, and you have to be ready for 90 minutes. And I think those moments we created in the game, we should have taken it.
What do you make of that, John in Parkhead?
Hi, how you doing? All right. I know it's getting a bit late.
Don't you worry.
First and foremost, I mean, I've heard this, and I'm not wanting Gio out, or I don't want him sacked, but we've heard all this before, and I'm actually kind of fed up listening to it. My honest opinion, Gordon, maybe go back 6 weeks ago, when I think the manager actually kind of set the tone when he says we couldn't compete at this level. And I don't know if maybe if that's getting into the players' heads, to be honest with you. But tonight, my honest opinion, at 2-0, Morelos missed the chance. It's the one in the second half. It's a big chance, but my honest opinion, I think Napoli would have probably stepped up another gear. That's my honest opinion. Maybe made it 3 or 4. But the second half was a wee bit better. But I think we've got to move on. Saturday, we've got 4 league games before we break for the World Cup, and they're massive. And we've got to take maximum points for the 4 games. Made respect to the 4 teams that we're playing: the Aberdeen, St Johnstone, Hearts, and St Mirren. We've got to take 12 points for that. And another thing, obviously at the board now, I know wee bits and pieces, but there's a lot of stuff going on at board level, and I'm not saying that it might affect the manager, but there's stuff going on at the board. The whole club's not in a very good place at the moment, and that's from top to bottom. And I think it's going to get sorted out. And I don't, just before I know maybe let you come in, a lot of Rangers fans might say I'm wrong saying this, but maybe beating Eindhoven maybe wasn't a good thing, because we've never been told what's happened with the money. As much as we earn, we're told we were going to get excess, I don't know, was it 30, 40 million or something?
Yeah, they always throw out 40 million. I know there's been articles done since that suggest it's actually a bit less than that, but it's certainly a lot of money, that's for sure. And yeah, Rangers fans maybe when it got to transfer window time wanted more of that spent. What do you make of the messaging from Giovanni Van Bronckhorst? That's what John's got an issue with. The messaging 6 weeks ago, and then sort of similar lines tonight.
Yes, I agree with John. It's not something you really tell your players, because otherwise domestically everyone that goes to play against Rangers and Celtic, you wouldn't ever turn up to do anything. It's about finding a way. There's no doubt about it. Napoli have a bigger budget than Rangers. We all know that, but it's about finding a way. And teams do it domestically, so they have to do it on the European stage. Especially, Napoli made 6 changes today from the last team that started in the league. Rangers had to find a way to do something, and not only in this game, in other games as well. Getting beat 7-1 by Liverpool is not acceptable. They have to find a way, and for me it's kind of a defeatist attitude to say, we're at a level where we shouldn't really be and we can't really compete, because if that's what you think about your players before you go out there, as John says, that filters down.
It's the timing of it as well. I won't let him say it because he doesn't need any more, but the gap between Livingston and Rangers finances is much bigger, much bigger than the gap between Rangers and Liverpool's finances.
Last night,
you know what happened at the weekend?
Yeah, and that's football, that's sport. And to touch on John's point there, I don't think the Rangers fans want to hear that. Was it 5-6 weeks ago? It's just
because people kind of know it deep down, don't they? I don't think anyone is daft enough to not realise. But so therefore, do you need to put it out there? Do you need to plant the seed?
No, I don't think anybody. And I think maybe Gio would regret putting that out there, to be honest, because
is he not just sort of doubled down on it tonight?
It's a wee bit defeatist. And does that then spill into the players?
I think what's maybe tough here, John, is it the speed of this stuff, because Napoli are better than anything you'll face in the Europa League. Liverpool are better than anything you'll face in the Europa League, for sure. So it is a step up, but you were still Europa League finalists in May, weren't you? So it's not like you're getting pitched into European competition for the first time ever. You managed to upset Dortmund, managed to upset Leipzig. Is that why fans were fans didn't really want to hear that stuff a couple of months on.
Gordon, Gordon, I seen it Saturday against Marvin. Marvin team was at the game on Saturday. The body language of some of your players is not right. I've been watching it for a wee while, and we've got no shape to the team. We've got absolutely there's no shape. Stephen Tab, and I'm not going back to Steven Gerrard, and I know teams kind of suss Rangers out, but Stephen had Tabby going up one wing, and you had Barra sitting up the other wing, and it was brilliant to watch. And I know what happens. I mean, Marvin will probably tell you sit in the dressing room, they suss teams out. You've got to stop him, you've got to stop that one. But it was different. There's just something, and I say I don't want the manager to get the sack, but I think his jacket's on a kind of shaky peg. You know what I mean? I really do, and it's just if it does, sadly, if he gets a bump, then it'll be sad. But as Rangers fans, we're no daft. They've been watching this for quite some time now, and it's no nice to watch. It's no nice. I mean, you're leaving the game on a Saturday, and I left the game on Saturday, and I'm saying to myself, this is how I think. I'm always a week ahead. We beat Livingston. We get a result against Aberdeen, and we go a point ahead of Celtic. I know people go, you're having jump. That's how I think. Then you put the ball but back to the SPFL, you put the ball back into Celtic's court again before they play Livingston on Sunday. I mean, 2 home games there, and nothing against Livingston. They were well drilled on Saturday. And by the way, Marvin, you're no bad at carrying that the bucket with the juice now.
Is that what he's because that all he does, John? He tells us he's a mastermind.
The big man was good.
That's it in a nutshell, Simon. Even if you want to do what Giovanni Van Bronckhorst says and say, do you know what, but it's Champions League, different level.
He's under pressure.
Fine,
though.
Saturday then.
Yeah, he's
massive.
With the comments, he's under pressure. Mm-hmm. So he has to say something to try and relieve the pressure. The form isn't good. You can't get away from that. As John says there, the fans won't be fooled. But this game coming up next is huge. He's rhymed off 4 league games there before the World Cup comes in. These are make or break for him, and you don't want to see people losing their jobs. These are huge, these 4 games coming up for Rangers.
Absolutely, John. I think that will be it. I think you'll bring the curtain down. I mean, it's finished in style, praising Marvin Bartley's water boy efforts. So thank you, John. I'll remember that one.
Lifting the
subs. No, I'll get that wrong.
Are you still doing that thing when you're protecting a lead or protecting a point? You kick the ball on deliberately and slow the game down.
I don't know what you're on about. No? Come on,
someone told me you do that. No? That's one for you all to look out for. On that note, sorry Rangers fans, it wasn't a cheerier one for you tonight. We are back tomorrow. Of course, we can now look back on it all, and maybe Hearts will give us something to cheer from a Scottish football perspective. They are at home in the Europa Conference League tomorrow. Thank you, Marvin. Thank you to Simon for a late night one. Mark Wilson, Gordon DL back tomorrow. And right now we'll hand over to Amber, so she's got you for the next couple of hours, and we'll speak to you at 6 tomorrow.